way, but not by DNA. Dave and Adam are two of a kind, and they wanna borrow some of your day to talk into your ear holes about midi-chlorians and roller coasters. Those two things are unrelated, but so are they. They're unrelated at birth, like most people who aren't related. Unrelated at birth, but they're brothers in a brotherly way. Now it's time for the phenomenal brother and the golden voice of the South. They're brothers from different mothers, but they're both really proud to be unrelated at birth.
The music ended a little earlier this week.
Did it?
Yeah.
Huh.
Huh.
I didn't notice.
Well, you're picking. I'm a grinning. I'll tell you what. This week, that music fits. It fits. It fits every week.
Sure.
But it fits even more this week. It's more apropos.
Apropos, perhaps. It fits better, Brian.
Heat thins. And I'm drinking my whiskey tonight.
Your whiskey?
Well, tonight is actually going to be whiskey. I figured we're doing country music from the state of Tennessee, so I can't drink my normal Kentucky bourbon. I gotta go with a little Tennessee Gentleman Jack.
Okay.
Which means halfway through the show, it's probably going to be dumped in a bottle of Coke. Because you don't.
Sure.
Don't.
As Martina said herself, whatever you say. Whatever you say, Dave. Why did Siri just thought I said something. I'm not talking to you, Siri. Go away. Anyway.
Well, okay. Hiya.
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 Siri.
That would be a fun show where we actually have Siri talk to us on air.
We should just ask Siri random things.
Yeah. Okay, the last time I closed this bottle, good grief. Okay, I'm good now.
It was a long time ago. The
In a
last time
galaxy.
Dave reopened the Gentleman Jack. Actually, probably football season, right? For you?
I'm thinking.
Because you're a mixer day on football Saturday.
I bought this. I think this was my. This is my national championship bottle.
Your national championship bottle?
No,
You
it was
mean
a playoff.
You mean playoffs, right?
Playoffs. Yeah, this was
Please
two
say you
games.
mean-
This was 2 games. All right.
Ooh, I was about to say it wasn't even a close game, Dave.
All right. Let's see what Gentleman Jack tastes like by itself. You ready?
Sure.
On the nose, it smells a little bit better.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I mean,
it doesn't make you recoil like the other stuff, at least.
It does it's got a good flavor. It's got a good oaky flavor to it. But it just tastes better in Coke. So
Okie and Coke. That's what you ought to call it from now on. Okie Coke.
Okie Coke. I like it. So we're gonna do what Ellie calls Daddy's football drink tonight.
You couldn't even make it one little sip, and you're already mixing it, huh?
Oh yeah.
Your palate is that refined.
Yeah. Okay.
You just
We're
added
good.
some more too. We saw that.
We're good now.
We saw that.
We're good.
Anyways, other than a private bourbon testing whiskey tasting with Dave, what are we doing? Whiskey.
So we're picking and a grinning. This is our final bracket challenge because there were 5 weeks in the month of March. Granted, we only had 4 shows. But we had to do this one because this bracket challenge is near and dear to mine and Adam's heart.
Sure. Well, that's why I put March in quotes.
Right. This was always going to, in Britain, the hokey pokey is the okey pokey.
Okey pokey. Interesting. Do you still turn yourself around, or do you turn yourself around the other way since you're in a different?
Is it like the water? Does it?
Exactly.
Actually, I think it's the same. It's the same hemisphere.
It is. Well, it's northern versus southern, right? Australia is where that happens, I think.
Right. Good day. Good day. Yes.
Yeah. Good day.
Good day, mates. Well, my phone just went back crazy.
Yeah.
Which,
Okay.
by the way, I went back and watched last week's bracket challenge and us on YouTube because I wanted to show Carrie and Eric me calling them out about the Letterkenny stuff.
Yeah.
I look at my phone way too much during the show. I mean, I'm responding to comments. I'm talking. I said that to Carrie while I was showing that. He said, and Eric and Carrie said, "You mean to tell me you have ADD?" Yeah.
Well. Yeah. There's 2 things that have become far too often or far too frequent for the show, Dave. One is the phone, and the other is vamp real quick.
I peed right before we started the show. I'll have
Thank
you.
you. I appreciate that.
Vamp real quick. Ooh, that's
Yeah,
not
okay.
very.
Oh no! Here we go. You sure that cup was clean?
Yeah, it was clean, but that's. Did I put any in there?
You put too much Cokie and not enough Okie.
Apparently. I need to turn myself around a little bit more. Anyway, all right.
That's what it's all about.
Oh, so as we said in the description, we're doing this show one last time. Relax, have a drink with us one last time. I didn't sing it.
You didn't, and I'm proud of you. Not that it's one last time for the show, but one last bracket madness challenge.
There you go.
Yeah.
Jeffrey said, "Never mind. Should have fact checked myself. It's the hokey cokey."
Oh, interesting.
So it's
I
the
wonder why.
okey cokey. Well, if only we knew somebody from Britain.
I know. Which, by the way, I have some of these to partake of later. Thank you to our British partners for their Cadbury chocolate.
Smart man drinking big boy glass full. This is normal. What are y'all talking about? All right. So, do you think there'll be a lot of singing tonight, Adam?
Only if we're lucky, Dave.
I mean, yeah, okay. I was going to say I'd try not to, but no, I'm going
It's
to
not
sing
going to
a lot
happen.
tonight.
Don't make.
Fire.
Jeez, man. I don't want to see the cigar you're lighting with that. But on the pre-show, he showed me that, and we said that's your insurance. I need the insurance money lighter.
Yeah,
You can burn a house down with that thing, man.
pretty much. All right. So, what are we doing tonight again? And am I?
Let's get around. Let's not bury the lead. It's
Okay.
We're doing a country music pick'em challenge. Yeah. Go ahead and show that.
Double check your patrons first. Nope, they don't have enough. David's going to be singing.
Oh well. So we are doing a country bracket. There are 4 categories in our country bracket, and we'll rehash this on the show as well for those who will listen later. But it is the play-in was the 90s bracket, so 90s acts. Classic country is the first category. Then you got country groups and duos. Then 90s country and modern country. So there's going to be 4 individual brackets we're going to pick down until there is only one contra singer left standing.
And just for kicks and giggles, maybe if we have enough time after we do the podcast, and for those that want to hang out with us after the show, I did a fun little 90s country only bracket that I
did,
sent
and I
you.
filled it half out and then forgot about it.
Yeah. So I say for if we have enough time after the show, we'll do it. Just because the 90s country is where Adam and I both cut our teeth in country.
True.
And I even left out people in the 90s country bracket that should be there.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's get to it. Big shout out, big thanks to Jeffrey Martin for doing all this. We only found one small error that we'll have to fix later.
That's not a small error. We'll get to that later.
Oh no, we'll tell
I understand.
who it is.
No, going chronologically, I understand exactly how it happened. It was an honest mistake, but it is not a small error. It's actually pretty funny. Are you checking your watch? And are you? Yes, you are. Don't say no.
Yes, I was responding to my wife. My wife texted. My wife wanted to make sure that my daughter had. I know I'm in the studio, but I'm still a father at first. I'm a father first.
No, you know. When you walk in the door, it's all or nothing, man.
Okay.
All or nothing.
Jeffrey said, "What was the error?"
Oh, we'll show you. No, we're gonna make you wait because it's actually pretty good.
So. Okay. All right. We're gonna do this in one take tonight. You ready? I can do it.
That's only because the jack is cut with Coke. But okay, go ahead.
No, it's kind of weak tonight. I'm a little disappointed in myself. By the way, where's Carrie? We haven't seen ear holes.
Don't know. He's your guy, man. I don't know.
I know. All right.
There's not even basketball on tonight.
3. Oh, it's the WWE Hall of Fame induction ceremonies tonight. So.
Oh.
All right. 3, 2, 1. And welcome everybody back into another great and phenomenal Unrelated at Birth. As always, you've got the one, the only, the golden voice of the South, the human jukebox, Dave Adams, coming to you live and in living color from the top of the state of Alabama. That's right, in Madison, Alabama, in the Unrelated at Birth podcast studios. And as always, I have brought along my friend. He was typing on his computer.
I'm texting
from the House of Mouse, from St. Cloud, from the middle of Florida, not Nashville, Tennessee, the one, the only, the phenomenal brother, Adam Joseph Russell. What's going on,
count
sir?
Florida as a country music state? We're half of Florida-Georgia line, right? Do we get to claim that?
Just because of that, no.
John Anderson. How about John Anderson? Do we get to claim John Anderson?
Roll, Seminole wind. Roll like you're never gonna roll again.
It's blow, but it's all good.
That's
good.
one.
You blew it.
That's one.
That's one what?
Me
one
singing?
Song? Well, and officially, I'll have to go back. We said we would make it 30 seconds into the show before one of us sang.
No.
What the specific timestamp was.
Well, yeah, we could do that, but the 30 seconds was the one last time joke. Or
that was for one last. Okay, well,
yeah.
Who knows? You may have done 30 seconds on something you didn't intend to. So, anyway, it's going to be exciting. Tell everybody what we're doing and why singing might be something that happens frequently tonight, Dave.
So this is the last Bracket Madness challenge that we are going to do. And this one, if you thought last week got to some discussions, just get ready, y'all. This week is going to be crazy. This one is near and dear to mine and Adam's heart. I understand that some of you might not like country music. And if you don't, if this isn't your cup of tea, thank you for listening to us. We'll talk to you next week about something that's probably going to be your cup of tea. But this week is something that Adam and I are very passionate about. We've had multiple shows about it. We've had multiple discussions about it. And it's country music. We are taking 8 classic country artists, 8 groups or duos. We did 12 90s country because we did a play-in with the 90s country, and we did 8 of the modern, you see air quotes on the Facebook, modern country.
That's for
so
Chris
we're
Stapleton.
That's for Luke Bryan. We're going to bring it down and see who is the best country music artist of all time according to our brackets. Let's just go ahead and do this first. We haven't done this any week. Adam, give me your prediction on who you think wins this whole thing.
Oh, man. I would not be in the least bit surprised if Alabama makes their way out of here, because we tend to be Homer on these brackets a little bit. I would not be surprised if they ended up making it through. I also wouldn't be surprised at Garth. Anything else, I think, is a toss-up at this point. We'll just have to see how it plays out.
I probably am. I'm going to say George Strait. I don't know how you didn't say.
I wouldn't be surprised at George either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had to leave something for you to say. I can't say all of it.
I don't. And here's the surprise. I don't think we're going to see Hank Sr. make it out of the classic country.
Interesting. There's only one way to find out.
I will say this. There are people watching us on Facebook. Oh, there's Carrie. Carrie's late. He said ear holes finally. The
There it
show's
is.
finally started. Okay. There are people watching us live on Facebook and YouTube right now. If you're listening to us on podcast and you don't get a chance to watch us, join us every Tuesday night, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. We do all this Facebook or YouTube live. There will be some discussion tonight, and there will be a lot of ties. So, Carrie said had to go hunt down Funko Pops. Oh, do tell. Funkos? Anyway,
So Trip Report and Funko Pops. That's next week, right?
next week, right?
But I want to say to anybody who this isn't their cup of tea with country music, I promise you the discussion alone will be worth it. I had a little bit of remorse after last week that I spent so much energy on the Superman versus Captain America discussion because I should have saved every ounce of argumentation I had inside of my being for tonight.
Oh,
It is
there'll be
going to
more.
be needed. I know, but
It will
I
be-
should have saved it. I should have saved all of it.
There are, and so we are going to rely heavily on the people commenting tonight because there will be ties. There will be many times where we have to look to our listeners to say,
Just like last week, yeah.
who breaks this tie. So sorry we couldn't get Garth Brooks to join us this week. I tried.
He was busy. He was busy with Trisha. You know, they were doing some home thing. Some
It's Miss Yearwood.
home decorating.
It's Miss Yearwood. Get it
Trisha.
right.
It's all good. It's all
Oh
good.
no, Garth never calls her Trisha.
Well, I was there when at the Garth Trisha concert when he was done and took a break, and then she came out on the stage, and everybody sat down, and no one really cared anymore. So Trisha,
I was there where Trisha came out and everyone screamed and went ah.
not in Orlando, baby. It's all about the Garth down here.
I said, "Did you try Chris Gaines?" I didn't.
We did. He was unavailable. I did. I called him. He was unavailable.
Okay.
He was in like an emotional phase right now. He's trying to re-dye his hair black. You know.
Yeah. Jeffrey says every tie is a vote for Randy Travis. Let me go ahead and put this out there.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Randy Travis is my favorite country music artist of all time. Hands down, point blank, the man can do no wrong. But he's not on this bracket because he's not really a 90s country star. He was more 80s. And I don't feel the names that were on this the 90s list were more influential in the 90s than Randy Travis was.
I mean, honestly, he's been gone for too long.
I told you so.
Well, it's too late to turn back now. So
Well, we'll leave that one we'll leave that joke digging up bones forever and ever. Amen. And we'll go and look on the other hand, and maybe the Storms of Life will be in there. So, okay.
wow,
there
dude.
we go.
Yeah. You body slammed that one, man. Good job. That was awesome.
I own every Randy Travis CD there is. My very first tape was the Randy Travis Storms of Life tape that my papa bought me when I was 2 years old.
Wow.
Not 2. Well, no, I was probably 5. I was 5. But so okay. Whoa, Tracy Lawrence, never heard of him until the bracket. Okay. So let's get this part out of the way. Adam made me put Tracy Lawrence on there.
I did.
I'm not a
Paint Me a
Tracy Lawrence
Birmingham.
fan.
Come on. Paint Me a Birmingham, Texas Tornado. Come on, man. Those were some of the best songs to slow dance to at a country bar back in the day, man. Tracy Lawrence knew where it was at.
Okay. All right.
He understood
gonna-
stories about life, unlike Chris Stapleton.
You mean songs about me?
And who I am? Yes.
Songs about loving and living and good-hearted women and family and
Family
God?
and God, yes.
All right. So, are we going to start this with the 90s play-in bracket, or are we going to start it with the classic country?
It starts with the 90s play-in bracket.
All right. Well, let's get it popping, as the Gen Z says.
There's one thing missing from the show.
Okay.
I have to gear up.
Okay.
You ready? Now we can do this. Now I'm ready. I'm in the right mindset, and let's do this thing.
Okay.
You have a comment. Go ahead and say it.
No. Let's
You
get
knew
it
it was
popping.
coming, and you still have a comment.
I know.
All right, let's get this thing. Let's see, application window. Where is it? Right here. All righty. 90s play-in.
All
Starts
right.
off with Shania Twain versus Colin Ray.
Here, let's get. Hold up. Let's get
Hold
the. Can we get
hang on. Yeah, I got it.
the
There you
names off of there? Okay, perfect.
go.
All right.
Shania
All right.
Twain versus Colin Ray.
Carrie, oh my, let's just make this an every week look with you
Yeah.
with the cowboy hat is what I'm thinking.
Sure. That's gonna happen, Carrie. That's gonna happen.
All right. Can I do this? All right. Anyway,
Howdy, partner.
Colin
What you got?
Ray, to me, just because I know Shania Twain is the single greatest selling woman from Canada artist of all time, but I will say this, Adam.
Yes.
Shania's a great singer. She put on a great concert here in Huntsville. But Colin Ray was the 90s tenor voice for me.
Yeah.
Colin Ray, Brian White, Vince Gill.
Sure.
My vote went to Shania on this bracket, but I think Colin Ray is a big deal, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you look at songs like Little Rock, Really Not That Different, That's My Story. I mean, those were your jams back in the day, you know?
Right.
And,
I thought I was on. I thought I moved on.
I thought it was over. I thought I moved on. Yeah, exactly. One of the first country raps that ever existed, right? But
Right.
you look at my pick would be for Colin Ray, and I know that there's it's not gonna work out that way. But my vote would be for Colin Ray because of songs like Little Rock.
Well, I know I
And-
disappeared.
Yeah, it's like her stuff went from like it started off. What was that first song she released? I can't even remember the name of it now.
Which
I can't
one?
remember the name of it. Any Man of Mine.
Whose
And
bed
it
have
was
your
like,
boots been under?
yeah, it was always engineered just right to make her popular. And then as soon as she got really big, she took off with Come On Over and all that stuff, man. She just left it behind, and she became so pop. I don't like the trajectory, so I would have gone Shania, but
Oh, you
the
would have got
results say... No, I would have gone Colin Ray. But the results say different. It's 73-27 for Shania Twain. So the Twain train rolls on.
All right. Choo.
Next one, Martina McBride versus Clint Black.
So
Power vocal versus the de-electrified man. What you
I
got?
voted for Martina here just because of her power diva voice. But Clint Black to me was pure country.
Yeah.
And his When I Said I Do with his wife duet was amazing.
Sure.
But to me, Clint Black made it big on an Eagles hit, Desperado. Martina made it big on her own hits.
Sure.
So I vote Martina.
Yeah, I voted Martina too. I love Like the Rain. That's one of my favorite country songs. I think
Never
Clint
like
Black
the
had really
rain
good,
till
but you
I
put that
walk-
up against Concrete Angels or Wild Angels and Concrete Angels won too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, and Independence Day and those other ones, and I think Martina McBride pulls away. But as happens on our show on these brackets quite often, the audience speaks, and Clint Black actually passed Martina McBride 55-45.
So she goes on to face Reba, I think it is.
No,
isn't it?
Clint Black goes on to face
Oh,
Reba.
that's right. All
And
right.
Martina goes down, and Clint Black leaves her seeing nothing but the taillights.
So would we say that Martina went like Lila McCann? Down came a blackbird.
You're talking in riddles now, Dave. All right.
Oh, this whole show is going to be all of that.
I love it. All right, so now you've got Garth versus Tracy Lawrence. The one I don't think was seated way too low versus the one I made you put in the bracket. Actually, we made play-in brackets just because Tracy Lawrence wasn't listed anywhere. So Dave defied me by putting it up against Garth and said, now pick Tracy Lawrence.
I did that on purpose, and you know
I know
that.
you did. I know you did.
It needs not be said, Garth.
I mean, all the way, yeah. Unfortunately, like I said, Tracy Lawrence has a lot of good hits, especially ones that we danced to back in the day, but Garth carries it, and the audience agrees it was 100% to 0 because no one knows who Tracy Lawrence is.
Apparently
All
not.
right. Next, you got Tim McGraw versus Kenny Chesney.
Now, these two are best friends in real life. They both have gone the way, they started pure country and then have gone the way of the pop country, even when Kenny has gone the way of the reggae country. My vote is Tim McGraw just because of what he's meant for country music. I think Kenny Chesney has meant a lot for the Jimmy Buffett country music genre.
Sure.
Because of that, they can get out of here. So Tim McGraw.
I voted for Tim as well, although actually no, I voted for Kenny Chesney on this one. I'm sorry. I have become a fan of his again with some of the more recent stuff like Song of the Saints and stuff like that that's come out. I've enjoyed it a little bit more than I have Tim's latest stuff, but Tim's got Everywhere and all of that old stuff, Heart Don't Forget and all that kind of stuff. It's hard, but I went with
Cherokee
Kenny
Outlaw. Yep.
Exactly, yeah. I've come to appreciate a lot of his newer stuff, so I went with Kenny, but 82-18, the crowd picks Tim.
That shocks me a little bit. I did not think it would be that one-sided.
Significant blowout. All right. So that sets the stage for our 90s bracket, which we're going to do in a little bit. But right now we've got to take it way back to classic country with the ones that Grandma and Grandpa used to do. Tell me about the good old days, right?
Yes, sir.
I know that was the Judds, but still. All right. First up, you got the number 1 seed, Hank Williams Sr. versus the number 8 seed, Waylon Jennings.
Yep. Real quick, Carrie Loney says, man, if you ever got to go to a Kenny Chesney college bar show, those were fun. I totally agree. I got to go to one. He was sponsored by Corona, and he did it
Sounds
at
about right.
the bar there on the Strip in Tuscaloosa. It was awesome. Halfway through the show, he was drunk as a skunk, but I mean, he played it like he was at an old frat bar, and
Nice.
it was fun just to see him blame it all on his roots. He didn't show up in boots, though.
I was going to say, yeah. All right, so for classic country, first up, Hank Williams Sr., Waylon Jennings. Thoughts, Dave?
It's with this one right here. It says junior. It should be senior. With
Oh, no,
this
it says
one,
senior.
does it? That says JR.
Oh, it says junior on the, you're right.
On the picture.
On the picture, yeah.
But with this one right here, I have to vote senior just because of what he meant for country music. He was the first one to truly popularize country music. Waylon had great hits. We know him every week when you watch the Dukes of Hazzard. Just some good old boys. You know, he had that great sound. But I don't think he is better than senior here.
No, I agree. I'll edit this out. I'm trying to find... The Hank Williams story is now gone from Google Voice.
Oh.
All right. Anyway, so I'll tell it myself. So I'm going to end up going here with Hank Williams Sr. as well. And my dad had left a voicemail for us, but for some reason it is now gone from Google Voice. But basically my grandfather, his dad, used to live in Chattanooga doing body and fender work back in the day, and got pretty well accomplished at playing the harmonica. And a guy who had come in to get his car fixed heard him playing the harmonica while he was on break one time and said, hey, you want to come over? We got a group that gets together and plays music, on the weekends or whatever. You want to come and join us? And he did and played with him for a while. It turns out that guy was a DJ for a local radio station. And one day he called up my grandfather and said, hey, we've got a guy coming in to play live on the station. His harmonica guy got sick. Will you come in and play? And he said, sure. Who is it? And he said, well, just come on in. We'll talk about it when you get here. And he got there, they played the song and showed him what he needed to do and everything. And he's like, okay, I got it. But and that's a Hank Williams song. Who's playing on the radio? And they said, well, he's pulling in now. And sure enough, Hank Williams Sr. walks into the radio station. He played live on the radio with Hank Sr. himself.
Oh, that's cool.
As his harmonica guy when his normal guy got sick. So
you
I
know
got to go with Hank Sr. What's that? I don't. Think Dad's on here. Comment, Dad, if you know what song it was. But I got to go with Hank from that. I love Waylon Jennings. I think he had a lot of good stuff. And he even has one, are you sure Hank done it this way? So this is kind of an appropriate matchup, but I got to go with Hank Sr. on that one.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
the crowd says 65-35 for Hank Sr. as well. So Hank Sr. moves on to the next round.
That's a little closer than I thought it would be.
Yeah, me too. All right, you got the battle of the former marrieds, right?
Yep.
George Jones and Tammy Wynette.
I think if we look at longevity of careers and what they mean to country music, you've got to go with the Possum.
Yeah.
The day the Possum died was one of the saddest days in country music. What just the comedy that the Possum brought to country music. You know, he got his driver's license taken away, but he drove his John Deere down to the bar. The only thing what Tammy Wynette was known for was being married to George Jones, being the bad girl of country music, and singing about divorce. So I've got to go
out too while she was at it.
Right. I got to go with George Jones here.
Yeah, I got to go with George Jones here too. I think He Stopped Loving Her Today is one of my favorites of all time. So move that out of the way. So I'm gonna go with George Jones on that too. So the crowd on this one, 76 for George Jones, 24% Tammy Wynette. So George Jones, the Possum, moves on like white lightning.
Oh, wow. Carrie said, I was in Nashville the day Tammy died. The whole city was in mourning.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. All right. Johnny Cash, the Man in Black, versus what do you call it? The patron saint?
The patron saint of Tennessee. Yep, the matron saint of Tennessee.
Dolly Parton. Who you got in this one, Dave?
This one's tough because I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan, but I'm also a big fan of Dolly Parton. If we look at country music only, and we take away what they mean to their part of the city and everything, because if we do that, Dolly Parton wins hands down. If we throw everything into the fire, Dolly Parton wins. I think Johnny Cash bringing in that rockabilly style and maybe even bringing Elvis into country music, I think we got to go Johnny Cash here. Now, Dolly Parton is a amazing woman and an amazing country singer. But I truly think Johnny Cash should move on here.
Yeah. I went for Dolly Parton on this one. I think Johnny Cash had a lot that he brought all the way through Hurt and the stuff he did when he was older. I think to see Dolly Parton now, she's doing crossovers with For King and Country on the Christian side and still cutting songs all these years later, you know. And she gave us a COVID vaccine.
Right.
I think if you mentioned longevity in one of the earlier picks, I think I'd have to go with that here for her. I mean, she's been in movies and everything else. So I went Dolly Parton on this one. And the audience went 57% Johnny Cash to 43% Dolly Parton. So pretty close.
Yep. All right, so here we go. Jeffrey says, Adam, if you jump into the shared Google Drive, there's a corrected Hank Sr. photo. You can copy and paste for the slideshow going forward. Okay. Vance Cope says, I love Dolly, but Johnny wins here music-wise.
That's fair.
Carrie says, I'm just asking what kind of moron would leave Dolly for Jolene.
One that she loved enough to repeat the woman's name multiple times. That's all we know.
Yep.
All right, last one in the first round of the Classic is Patsy Cline at the 2 seed versus Merle Haggard in the 7.
Look, Waylon, Willie, and Merle and Johnny, they ruled the 70s. But if Patsy Cline hadn't have died an early death, we'd be talking about Patsy Cline for the way we talk about Carrie, the way we talk about Faith, the way we talk about Reba. I truly think Patsy Cline is the godmother of country music. I have to vote Patsy Cline here just because that haunting voice on Crazy, that haunting voice on Walking After Midnight.
I Fall to Pieces.
I Fall to Pieces. You give Patsy Cline any piece of music and she could have sang it. I mean, listen to Blue that we know Leanne Rimes for. That was written for Patsy Cline. Can you imagine how that would have sounded with her amazing voice? Merle Haggard is pure country. Adam must not like Merle.
Not really.
But Patsy Cline is the matron saint of country music.
Yeah, Merle's not really my cup of tea. I always think of Patsy Cline as the Ella Fitzgerald of country music, right?
Yep.
It's that voice you instantly recognize, could sing anything in the phone book at the same time if you wanted her to, you know. So I went with Patsy Cline on this one. Like I said, I'm just not a fan of really much that Merle Haggard ever did. But preferences and all that, you know.
Yeah.
It was actually 54% Merle, 46% Patsy Cline from the audience. So the hag moves on.
Do we get a save?
I mean, if you want one, you can use it.
No.
But that gives me one too later on. Don't forget.
Yeah, nope. We ain't doing it that way then. All right. What we got? What's next?
All right. So now in our semifinals, and if he makes it past this, I'll put his updated picture down below. But Hank Williams Sr. versus George Jones in semifinal number 1.
This is where I think Senior dies.
Too soon,
that was
man, still.
That was
Still
bad.
Too soon.
Although, now that I think about it, they don't make songs Midnight in Montgomery.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was about to say, too.
About George Jones. This is tough. This one's very tough. Because there again, Senior was taken away from us too early.
Yep.
Whereas George Jones had longevity of his career.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Carrie's comment.
Yeah.
I thought that was turn 4. Lord, I apologize. Be with the starving pygmies in New Guinea.
Kick him out. Kick him out. This one's tough. I will say George Jones here. Just because I longevity of career. But yeah, okay. I'm gonna quit talking. George Jones.
Okay. I'm going to go with Hank Sr., so we're going to need a tiebreaker from the folks in the comments. Put your votes into the comments so that we can see. But I'm going to go with Hank Sr. because I think that the entire story of the songs that he sang were so instantly recognizable and instantly popular. I think he, along with like folks like Patsy Cline in those early years, laid a lot of the foundation for country music becoming a big thing. And I think that if he hadn't died, that story lended so much to his story, to Hank Williams Jr.'s story, you know, and everything that came after it. Like you said, people are still writing songs about it. I think that we would go with Hank overall.
Yeah. All right. Everybody's saying Senior.
Yeah, they are. So, yep, he moves on. All right, Hank Sr. moves, and I'll get his corrected photo later into the Final Four. All right, semifinal number 2. Johnny Cash versus Merle Haggard. Now, where the heck was Conway Twitty? Because that keeps us from saying, ladies and gentlemen, Conway Twitty.
I know.
Hello, darling.
It's been a long time. You're just as lovely as the way. Okay, anyway. Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Johnny Cash is quite possibly, and this is going to be hard to say, but if you think about it, Johnny Cash is underrated as a country classic.
Yeah.
Because really before Walk the Line, no one really knew about the Johnny Cash story.
Yeah.
But when Walk the Line came out, it was all about Johnny Cash. But Johnny Cash lived an amazing life. A hard life.
Sure.
But an amazing life. Merle Haggard was just one of the country outlaws.
Yeah.
He's great, but you take away Merle, Waylon, Willie, and Chris Christopherson, they're all basically the same person.
Yeah.
So I go Johnny Cash just because of his individuality here.
Yeah. I think individuality, the Man in Black persona, the whole thing he was able to create and maintain too.
Yeah.
Just like with Hank Sr., there was a story behind the Man in Black thing. There was something there. It wasn't a created, manufactured marketing ploy. It was how he decided to live his life. So yeah, go with Johnny Cash on that too.
Yeah, and Brian from Reels and Heels, by the way, said his cover of Hurt is epic. If you haven't heard it, you absolutely have to. But if you haven't heard it, go check it out because if you don't bawl your eyes out knowing Johnny Cash's story, it'll blow your mind.
Yep.
And what I like about Johnny Cash is he can do any song you want. And like he could do country, he could do rock, he could do rockabilly, he could do a gospel song with the Carters. And it sounds the same, and it's Johnny Cash. You know it's Johnny Cash. He's that recognizable voice, and that's what's going to make this Classic Country Championship so tough, because you've got the father of country music, Hank Williams Sr., versus what I would easily say the father of modern country, what we would call 80s, 90s, today country. I think Hank Williams Sr. was that there's a tear in my bear, that you sit there with the mandolin, you play bob in your head. Johnny Cash brought that rockabilly into the country and made it more popular and more streamlined. So this is going to be very tough to choose between these two gentlemen.
Sounds like you talked yourself into a circle there, my man.
No, I worked myself into a shoot.
You worked yourself into a shoot. I love it. Now, yeah, I don't disagree with you about Cash's versatility overall. I think Hank Williams was who he was at a time where that's what country music was. It hadn't branched off into other things yet. So I think his work is a product of A, a short career, and B, that's what it was at the time, But I'd pull up the list of songs and go down I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry, Caliga, Jambalaya, all of those. I don't know. I can't pick against that over Johnny Cash. I feel like Johnny Cash the same way I feel about Waylon and Merle to an extent, that I like their music, but I never really loved it. But I love Caliga. I love that song. I could listen to it all day. And so I got to go with Senior on that.
All right.
And again, it's just personal, nothing but personal preference.
Oh, I know. We're going to have to get the listeners to weigh in here, because I'm going Cash, the Man in Black, all day long with this, because for the exact same reason you said.
Yeah.
It is, you sit here and listen to music, and as soon as that boom, 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 it's Johnny Cash coming in.
Sure.
And then, hello, I'm Johnny Cash. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Apparently, okay, I'm getting voted out again. Everybody's saying Hank Sr. except Vance. But this one's tough. I don't think. Oh, here we go. We got our Canadian in here. All Cash all the time. There we go. I don't think there's a wrong answer here. It's personal preference. But this is where I think you and I branch a little bit, because, yes, you've got that pure country in Hank Sr., but then you also have that pure country with a little twist with Johnny Cash.
Yeah. I always felt like some of Johnny Cash's stuff was kind of a product of its time too. When the Beatles and stuff like that was becoming popular, there's some of them that have a little bit of that sound to them. Just the way rock music sounded at that time. And I'm not saying that it's written in that key or arranged that way. It comes across a little bit. They're both products of the time they were in, and the time that Johnny Cash really was popular in, I think, turns me off to some of it. Whereas, like you said, it's just pure. With Hank Williams Sr., it is steel guitar and a fiddle and a harmonica and a lead guitar, and that's it. There's nothing else to it,
Carrie's picking on me here. Pure country with a twist, so not pure. It was pure.
It's a small twist. It's a tiny twist.
You put the lime in the coconut. Okay, anyway.
Let me get this straight.
All right. So because of our listeners, Hank Sr. moves on, and we'll get the right picture for the finals.
Yeah, I don't see it in the drive, by the way. If you can let me know where it is, that would be fantastic, and I will use it. But for now, I'm going to copy Mr. Junior.
Senior.
Senior, sorry. Down into the classic spot in the final four. All right.
So now we move on. All his rowdy friends are coming over tonight.
Well, he doesn't have to ask, do you want a drink? We know the answer to that one.
Yeah,
We're already doing it.
Resounding yes.
All right,
Hank,
so
do you
we get
want
into
to party?
we get into country groups now. This is where the fun really, really begins, Dave. This is where we're going to get into some interesting stuff. The first one up in the groups is the number 1 seed Alabama versus number 8 Montgomery Gentry.
So I've got an issue with the group Alabama picture there too, because Mark Herndon is not part of the group Alabama. Mark was never part of the group Alabama. If you ask the cousins, that he was just told to the record label made him part of the group because they thought that groups of 4 were better because of the Beatles.
You don't have Alabama without the backwards drumstick sound, though. That heavy sound of that drum, that snare that he brought to it, you don't have the closer you get without that, man.
Yes, but
so
Mark
he may
Herndon
have been added as an afterthought, but he's just as much part of the sound as anything else.
He's not in the group anymore. He got kicked out.
Well, here's the thing, though. We don't disagree on who should win this. Even if we disagree about who should be included in the group itself. Right. So we're both saying Alabama, right?
We are, but you also don't think Montgomery Gentry should be an 8 seed.
No, I don't. I think that they had a lot more hits than people give them credit for. It's just a lot of it was in a time when we've had so much new stuff since then. I think it goes away. But Lonely and Gone is a great song, and they've had a bunch of them like that. But Alabama carries far more superior at the end of the day. So
I agree.
The audience agreed. 97% for Alabama, 3% for Montgomery Gentry. So
your mom says she just read Randy Owen's book. He considers Mark a member. So if you go back and listen, and yes, his modern stuff, he might say that, but there has been there's lawsuits where they've tried to get him out of anything Alabama.
Wow.
So I think
old age softens all that kind of stuff.
Well, I think it's a Michael Eisner. Oh, he is good in this, but in the background, suing Katzenberg to try to get him right. If you want to read if you ever want to have your childhood ruined by knowing the backstory of Disney, go read Disney Wars. It's a great read. Anyway, Carrie said got to see Randy Owen perform with Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean in Huntsville one night. That's kind of cool.
No, that's not possible. What that should read is got to see Randy Owen perform with Jason Aldean in Huntsville one night, and Luke Bryan was also on stage.
Oh,
one of my favorite concerts of all time was Alabama. They played on the 50-yard line of our hometown high school football stadium. Still one of the best concerts ever been to. All right.
So Jeffrey says, I figured out who the Mark was that voted for Montgomery Gentry. Okay, anyway.
All right, number 4, Diamond Rio versus number 5, Little Texas. Emphasis on Little.
Come on, dude. Amy's back in Austin. God bless Texas. So Adam doesn't think Little Texas should even be in this bracket.
No, not with Montgomery Gentry at 8. You don't put I mean, don't get me wrong. What Might Have Been was a great song. And God Bless Texas was fun to dance to. And they have My Love, and they have all these other ones. But in terms of what do you still hear on the radio? You don't hear Little Texas on the radio.
I do.
You don't down here. How about that?
Okay.
You don't down here.
Okay.
So outside of the South,
Yes.
So, but anyway, for this one, I have to go with Diamond Rio. Saw them in person as well. One of the best concerts. And You're Gone, and all of the one of the things that always gets me about Diamond Rio, I don't know the dude's name, but the tenor, the high tenor in that band, the way they always slid that in there, and when he hits that note at the end of You're Gone, it just adds so much to that arrangement. Diamond Rio was so good at that, and Little Texas never had a song as good as Unbelievable. So
yeah. I'll never forget leaving the Alabama concert.
Oh, dude. Okay.
How do you fall in love? If Mike Watts is listening, I know he remembers that too.
So I have to tell that story real quick. So we saw Alabama play. It was me, Mike Watts, and Blair were there. And we were walking down, because you had to park a long way away. We were walking back to the car, down the side of the road, and we were singing How Do You Fall in Love? Mm-hmm. And we were singing it and laughing and stuff, and we stopped at a certain part in the song. And as soon as we stopped, a van drove by and picked up the song exactly where we had stopped it. And it was hilarious. It was one of those you had to be there things, I know, but it was actually really cool. So
yeah. Marty Rowe has a fantastic voice. Love Diamond Rio. Your mom asked, who is Little Texas? Kathy?
I don't blame her. I don't blame her. I mean,
I love Little Texas. I mean, come on.
good. Don't get me wrong.
They're still good.
They're
My vote
not a
is
5 seed.
My vote is Diamond Rio. Marty Rowe is amazing. In fact, one of my good friends from college, Dad, was Marty Rowe's roommate in college.
Really?
Yeah. But Diamond Rio here, hands down. That tenor, you're right. The way they brought a mandolin into
Yes.
90s country music was amazing.
Yes. I mean, all I have to do is, all right, so I pulled up a list of Diamond Rio songs. I want to test really quick. Sing something from the song. Ready? Meet in the middle.
We meet in the middle.
All right. Beautiful mess. Beautiful
What
mess.
a beautiful mess. What a beautiful
One more
mess
day.
I'm in. One more day.
You're
One
gone.
more. You're gone.
How your love makes me feel.
It's like jump in a car, driving 19, see how far we can.
I love it. All right, good. So Diamond Rio wins.
Melts, kind of feeling.
And I apologize, everyone. I won't do that again. Anyway. All right, so the audience was 84% Diamond Rio, 16% Little Texas. Diamond Rio runs away with it like a river, and now they know how the river feels. All right, Brooks and Dunn versus Lady A. How Lady A made it into this one as a 6th seed ahead of Montgomery Gentry still remains to be seen. But this is the matchup we have.
So the only part of the song Dave knows is the title?
The title set to music.
I mean, do you really want me to sing the whole song? I just want to throw something in there easily.
No,
anyway,
hang on. Where's the remove button? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. All right. I mean, dude.
B and D.
There's no point in even talking this longer than 5 minutes. Brooks and Dunn. It was 95% Brooks and Dunn, 5% Lady A.
Who voted Lady A?
Somebody who really likes let's see, Lady Antebellum songs. What are the Antebellum? I don't know that I could tell you the difference between them and Little Big Town.
They've got some good hits, but Brooks and
I
Dunn.
Run to You, American Honey.
Yeah,
We Own the Night. Yeah, but none of those are like Hard Working Man, Boot Scootin' Boogie.
exactly.
I mean, come on. All right. So next we have the Judds, which were a 2 seed. How in the world? Anyway,
What?
Blair would agree with that. I highly disagree with that.
The Judds almost were a 1 seed.
Oh,
The Judds are.
There's no way
my
you place
gosh.
the Judds above Brooks and Dunn. There's no
Paul,
way.
tell me about the good old days. I mean, come on.
Well, what? I'm sorry. What? Ooh.
Your mother
asleep.
apparently doesn't like either one of them.
Oh, dude. There's a story there. So me and my parents evidently have a lot of country music stories. So my mom said she would never see Winona. She didn't like Winona, didn't like nothing about her. And then one day they were at the Magic Kingdom, and there was somebody about to sing on stage, and they were filming it, you know?
It was
And
Winona.
so they stood there, and it ended up being Winona.
So why does your mom not like Winona?
I don't know, man. You gotta ask her that. I don't like her either, but anyway.
The Judds win this hands down.
I disagree. As much as if you put politics aside and you put all that drama aside, you can't put anything above the way that we used to feel in the 90s playing Cowboy Take Me Away and songs like that. You can't tell me you bebopped in your car driving down the road to a Judd song, Dave, compared to how you would do the same thing with a Oh, no, you did not. I was in the car with you.
Bridge.
You were not driving in your car down McFarland Boulevard.
Mine. Just look, you're right. I didn't bebop in my car to the Judds because they weren't popular at the time.
You know
The
why?
Dixie Chicks were.
That's why.
And they weren't as cute as the Dixie Chicks. But all right, so we're going to have to put it to the group. We're going to have to put it to the listeners. All right, so I see Dixie Chicks got 1. Judds have 2. We stood in the hot Florida sun for Winona. The Magic Dust took over.
The Pixie Dust got in there, Blaine.
Yeah, all right.
Come on. Somebody else vote and make it a tie again. Come on.
I see 2 for 1.
Come on.
My mom liked the Judds, so that's who I voted for. All right, so the Judds win.
All right, I'm
And
okay.
besides, this is the first round.
All right, so the audience anyway With
Yeah.
65% Judd's, 35% the chicks on the original vote anyway. So the point is now moot. All right, so we go into the first semifinal for country groups, and it's Alabama versus Diamond Rio.
This is tough.
Sorry, Diamond Rio, you're gone. You're gone.
The commie chick should never win. All right, Alabama will win here, but Diamond Rio makes this a tough game.
Oh, this is not easy. No, it's not easy, but it's also not something that I'm going to haggle on too much. I mean, honestly, inside my heart. I mean, I love both of them all the way, but if you told me one of these groups never made a song, can you imagine Bryant-Denny Stadium without Dixieland Delight?
No, not at all.
You know, so
rolling down
who
backwood.
wins, Dave? I keep clicking. Okay, little admission here. I keep clicking the shared screen inside of StreamYard, thinking it's the keynote to copy and paste pictures. I should have had some caffeinated coffee tonight.
Tennessee Byway.
How many arms are on the wheel, Dave?
On the wheel.
Have you ever seen that skit that
Yeah.
that Will Ferrell does, where he asks the question before they get to that part of the song?
With Journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so funny. How many
right,
arms
so-
were on the wheel? All right,
I will agree with you on this one. There should
let's
be
say
no discussion.
semifinal number 2 is Brooks and Dunn versus Les Judes.
There should be no discussion. Kicks Brooks and Ronnie Dunn over Naomi and Winona
Okay.
Judd.
All right, I agree with that statement. So I guess there's no debate then? The debate is
No.
over? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Only
that puts
my
who
lover.
should have been the 1 and 2 seed against each other
With the other.
with Brooks and Dunn versus Alabama.
I'm going Brooks and Dunn here.
You just don't want to be a homer.
No, I'm truly going B&D here. If you tell me that there was no Brooks and Dunn in the 90s, I couldn't do it. No My Maria, no Boot Scootin' Boogie.
Ooh.
I'm going Brooks and Dunn.
Yeah, you
I
did it to me. You
love
got me with
Randy
My
Owen.
Maria, man. You got me with My Maria.
I love Jeff Cook. I love the group Alabama. But
Red Dirt
Brooks
Road.
and Dunn, yeah.
Only in
Brooks and
America,
Dunn, yeah, to me, that's my college. I've got to go B&D here.
I'm totally going to cop out and pick Alabama so that we leave it to the audience, but it's like I can't be personally responsible for either of these leaving the bracket. So I'm going to put it on the comments for a vote. Cop
Your
out.
mom, Brooks and Dunn, no other choice. B&D. Oh wait, those might
One
have been.
for Alabama.
Wendy says B&D. Actually, Alabama is your college. You're right. So you could say Brooks and Dunn. Apparently, Alabama's going to take this.
Well, hang on, but it's 1, 2, 3 for Brooks and Dunn, and hang on, wait. My mom said Brooks and Dunn, no other choice. I think that was for the previous round.
Yeah. All right. Hold. A lot of Brooks and Dunn coming in now.
Late results. This is like an actual election in America, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be here till 11:30, counting absentee comments.
I think y'all. This is okay. B&D wins. B&D wins 4-3.
Yeah, it does because of that. No, it's actually 5-4 now. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for taking that bullet for me, so I didn't have to do it.
Whew, that was tough.
All right, Brooks and Dunn. Let me get them copied and pasted, Dave. So now we're moving on to what category, sir?
90s country. And this one's going to that classic versus groups. That's going to be tough.
I love it.
I am not looking forward to this.
I thought I was tired of brackets until we started doing this one. I'm like, maybe we can do more brackets. This is fun. All right. In the 90s country, number 1, George Strait versus number 8, Shania Twain.
There
3,
should
2,
be
1, King George.
King George. Yep. Look, Shania's great, but she ain't George Strait.
She ain't great either. All right,
she's good.
70. Good. Okay, well, fine. 73% George Strait, 27% Shania. So George Strait moves on. Next, the Battle of the Still Marrieds, Faith Hill versus Tim McGraw.
So go ahead and get your. I'm going to go and just stand over here for a minute because I know you've got a long rant about Faith Hill.
I don't have a long rant about Faith Hill. She did exactly the same thing. Oh, you have to go to the bathroom. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, so I don't have a long rant, so you need to hurry. Faith Hill basically did the same thing that Shania Twain did. Hung around with the cutesy little country act until they got popular, and then went off in the other direction. So I'm going to go for Tim McGraw on this one. Although I picked Kenny Chesney in the first round, or the play-in, I think Tim McGraw has a lot of those iconic songs. Faith Hill has a few, but I think Tim definitely wins out. And it looks like Wendy agrees also. And you're back just in time to give your opinion. Look at that.
Look, Mississippi Girl, Breathe, This Kiss.
Breathe was not a country song.
Where Are You Christmas?
That was from Dr. Seuss. That was not a country song.
My vote is Tim McGraw. But you blame Faith Hill for bringing
Taylor
in...
Swift. Yes, I do.
Yes, you blame... Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
My vote is Tim McGraw just because Indian Outlaw, Don't Take the Girl, his earlier stuff is way better than any of Faith's earlier stuff.
Even some new stuff's not half bad. But yeah, okay, so Tim is your vote too?
Yeah, Tim.
McGraw has my vote. Oh, all right. So it was 78% Tim, 22% Faith. Tim moves on. Now we get to the good stuff. As soon as I find the slide. There we go. All right. Me and you had a very spirited debate about this one already off the show. Number 3, Alan Jackson versus a 6 seed. What the heck is a 6 seed for Garth Brooks? I don't get that. Alan versus Garth.
Let's put it this way. I am a huge Garth Brooks fan. I've seen Garth in concert, and I consider this to be one of my best concerts I've ever seen. But, and I will say this take this with a huge grain of salt, knowing how big of a Garth fan I was in the 90s. Garth ushered in this modern era of country music. He ushered in this rock mixed with pop country music to where it's watered down all of country. Alan Jackson, as Carrie just said, never had to reinvent himself. Alan Jackson says...
That's because he's a small town Southern man.
Alan Jackson says, I will start with Chasing That Neon Rainbow. I'll come with some summertime blues. I will do It's All Right to Be Itty Bitty. My first song is the exact same as my last song. Garth is not the man who saved country music. I am going to say Garth is the man that, even though we loved him in the 90s, might have started country music on a downward pop spiral.
When? Okay. So now it's time for cross-examination. Which song started that? Which song was the pop mixed with rock that started that?
Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up.
What album was that off of?
The one with the red and black.
In Pieces, right?
Yeah, yep.
So that's one.
And that's where it started. His whole concert genre, his whole concert thing was Kiss mixed with country. He says that.
But you think about, and someone said Chattahoochee mic drop. Okay, I don't disagree that Alan Jackson had some great songs, but Chattahoochee's a great example of, all right, Chattahoochee. What rhymes with Chattahoochee? Hoochie coochie. All right, what rhymes with that? What do we need? We need to burn rubber and down by the river in the moonlight. Okay, let's put that in there.
Pale moonlight.
Formulaic. Whatever it was.
Hey, you're right. It's a great song.
Don't get me wrong.
That was what was country music at the time.
But the thing is,
it's the same argument you made for Hank Sr. Works with Alan Jackson. You can yell at me all you want.
It's not going to change my mind. Holy cow, dude. You can't tell me that you're going to outrank the impact. And you may agree that it went down a rock or pop, but when you look at the dance, the thunder rolls, If Tomorrow Never Comes, Unanswered Prayers, Much Too Young to Feel This Old, Callin' Baton Rouge. I mean, all of those have had much more. Garth set a bar that everybody's tried to reach since then. Alan Jackson was just a guy you went to see. He was a good artist. But he's not a number 3 over a number 6. Garth is like the Michael Jackson or LeBron James of country music. They changed the game and made everybody change along with it. And everybody willingly did it. Because it's what people evidently wanted. Garth gave people something they didn't even know they wanted.
And it's degraded country music ever since.
Well, we'll talk about that when we get to the modern ones, because some of the folks that you like follow the same vein, really. So
I will say
we'll
this.
Talk about that later.
I love country music. I love Garth Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
Love Garth Brooks. But I can't call him a pure country guy.
That's cool. We couldn't say that about the dude with a twist either. So I'm good with that.
Okay.
So we split on this one. All right. The audience said
split.
40% Alan Jackson, 60% Garth Brooks. So pretty close there too.
It's closer than you thought it would be.
Closer than the experts think. Not so fast,
Exactly.
my friend. Yes. All right. So next up, Reba McEntire versus Clint Black. What, are you standing outside of that fire, Dave?
I am. I'm standing outside the fire. Look, Clint Black is great. He is a man that modernized the yodel in his country songs. But he is not Reba frickin' McEntire. The lady never ages.
Sure.
She's in her 60s, and she looks like this picture here from the, what album was that? Oh, crap. I can see it. Why haven't I heard from you? Tell me why.
That was kind of rock popish, but okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Reba, hands down.
Okay. So your heart won't lie about that one?
My heart will not lie. Nope.
No, I agree. I'd say Reba on this one too. And it was 84% Reba, 16% Clint Black on this one too. So let me tell the Reba story really quick. I actually have the voicemail for this one. Let my dad tell this one.
Yeah. Brian said this is true. Reba, but Clint was great on The Masked Singer last season. He was. Him and his wife were on The Masked Singer together.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. Here's the story about Reba.
Hey guys, I got another story for you. I know I talked last week about my father-in-law, Joe Luker. Well, he and I were sitting at a Waffle House on the Troy Highway, getting ready to go hunting, and it was probably a little after 4:15, somewhere along there. And we see a bus pull up on the side of the road to come into the Waffle House. And on the front of the bus, the marquee was lit up, and it read Reba. And I told my father, I said, no way. He said, what? I said, that looks like Reba McEntire's bus. And he said, who is Reba McEntire? And I said, well, she's a country singer. And sure enough, a few minutes later, her and about 3 guys walked in. And I told him, I said, look, there's Reba McEntire. And she heard me, and she said, hey, fellas. And we said, hey, good morning. How are you? And she said, fine. Y'all going deer hunting? And yeah, and everything. She said, well, I hope y'all get a big one. And they sat down and ate, and we didn't.
Oh, sorry.
No.
There we go. Shoot.
Yeah, and everything. She said, well, I hope y'all get a big one. And they sat down and ate, and we didn't disturb them. We didn't figure they wanted to be bothered with giving autographs and things like that. And we said goodbye when we left, and that was it. But that was a great experience. Thanks, guys. Bye.
So is there anything that sounds like a country song? Getting ready to go deer hunting at a Waffle House at 4 a.m. and pulls Reba.
Yep.
I love that. I love it.
That's
All
awesome.
Right. So 90s country semifinal number 1. George Strait versus Tim McGraw.
One's a better actor. One isn't. One's pure country. One should have been playing the Super Bowl when it was in Texas. One was an okay actor in The Blind Side. George Strait.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you talk about the reinvention piece earlier, too. I like Tim McGraw's stuff, but I think that he's had a shift. You know, definitely, like, you could probably draw a line around Place in the Sun. That album, probably around the time of that album, he went more of the pop kind of rock, kind of route, same thing. But George has been consistent throughout, so I say George Strait on that one too. All right, let me copy and paste. The next one, I'll do that in a second. The next one is Garth versus Reba.
Look, y'all got up in arms saying Garth should win that first round. But I don't see a world where Reba McEntire, who is the 90s version of Dolly Parton, the matron saint of 90s country, I don't see a world where Garth Brooks can beat Reba McEntire.
I mean, this really comes down to probably one of the biggest male acts in modern country music and one of the biggest female acts in modern country. I mean, more
90s
more
country.
modern, not like, well, I mean, well, they're both still doing stuff into the 2000s, you know.
Yeah.
So you can't make the longevity play. You know, it's hard to do that. But Reba did not have a Chris Gaines under her belt. You know.
Right.
But I personally love a lot of Reba stuff. But if you ask me who I'm going to listen to, if I had 2 CDs in front of me, I would pick the Garth CD 99 times out of 100.
And I think we would have done that in your 98 Dodge Dakota.
Yes.
We would have done that.
We wouldn't have turned Reba off if she was on the radio. But if we had a choice, we would have picked Garth.
We would have been playing the Chris Gaines album, actually.
Yeah, probably so.
But your mom says she's not a fan of Reba.
Learn
Learn
well, there was
something
your
new.
one chance, Fancy, and she let you down. So.
All right. So right now it's 2v1. So listeners, you've got to break this tie. I'm voting
3-1.
I'm voting Reba. You're voting Garth. Right now it's 3-1, listeners. So I guess Garth wins this. So it's gonna be Garth versus George.
Oh man.
And this is Adam's personal hell.
Wow. All right. So yeah. So George Strait versus Garth Brooks. Every comment from now on is for this one. After Vance said Garth but love Reba. So every comment after this is for this one. So if I have to pick one here, I've seen both of these guys in concert. And very, very the thing that always impressed me about George Strait was the character he played in Pure Country is him because he had a stage in the middle of the arena and it was big enough to where all of the seats in the arena were fairly close. He did a couple of songs on one side of the square and then went to the other one and did a couple of songs on the other side of the square so that everybody ended up getting a direct view of him from the front at some point in the concert. And just that, the same time, you go to a Garth Brooks concert, and he was in stage, but we had side row seats, and he actually came over there where we were for a few songs and stuff like that. So I got a different experience, but to me, Garth has always been, what did I say when we were talking the other week? The Oprah Winfrey kind of country music, like, hey, look at me, I'm doing this thing over here. You know, George Strait's just kind of always been the dude, the same guy, you know. So this one's a tough one for me, but I'm probably going to go against my gut and say George Strait on this one. In terms of country music, I'm going to say George Strait.
This is tough because we have to decide what this bracket is. If we're saying music and music alone,
yeah,
George Strait. But if we're saying music, stage presence,
sure,
just all around fan reaction, it's got to be Garth.
Well, do you want the guy jumping around? Do you want to go to a concert where it's like, I want to hear the songs that I hear? George is going to sing the songs that you hear. On the radio, it's going to have the same sound. You're going to get exactly what you want. With Garth, it is like a 3-ring circus, right? Totally different things that you're going in for on both of those. So,
I'm going to go with the crowd and say George. But this one is a 1A, 1B. Just like Alabama and Brooks and Dunn. Sure. I am one that says when I go to a concert, I want a different version than what I hear on the radio. And you get that at a Garth concert. You don't get that at a George Strait concert.
Sure.
You get George sitting there strumming a guitar, singing into a microphone.
Yeah.
there is no wonder Garth has won so many Entertainer of the Years, because he is truthfully entertaining. But I think George Strait here, just because of what he meant for country music.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember when we'd go to the beach, my parents listening to George Strait on tape in the car along with Randy Travis, you know. It has some very deep-seated memories of why I still like country music to this day. With George, Garth is a lot of the newer stuff. It is tough, 1A, 1B for sure. But it looks like we're going with George then. And I think everybody agrees. It looks like George is like 4-2. All right.
Yep.
All right, George Strait moves on. So now we're going to have George Strait against whoever wins the modern country bracket, which should be a no-brainer. We kind of set these modern guys up for a fail here. All right, so the first bracket in modern country is Carrie Underwood versus number 8 seed who? Casey Musgraves. I thought that name was a NASCAR driver.
No, Casey Musgraves.
Who is Casey Musgraves?
If you haven't listened to any of her stuff, she is truly the modern version of Dolly Parton with her music. I really do think Casey Musgraves, if you haven't listened to her stuff, do yourself a favor and listen to her stuff. There's no doubt in my mind Carrie Underwood should win this. I only know of one person who voted for Casey, Carrie Loney. I'm calling you out, sir. But that's just because that's who he likes. I get it. It's his style. But if Casey Musgraves, if you trust me, I've seen her live a couple of times. She's amazing. But she is no Carrie Underwood.
It's where this bracket kind of takes a left-hand turn in our thought process, right? Because if you Google Casey Musgraves, her website is the first thing, of course, that you see. And it says Easy with Troye Sivan featuring Mark Ronson. Mark Ronson also did collaborations with that Marshmello DJ guy and other people. You know, so it's like she's already in that pop. But a lot of artists do that now. That's a thing they do now. You know, and by the way, we forgot to mention for Tim that the main reason he lost is because of Over and Over Again. Can we just throw that out there? That song with Nelly, and that alone disqualified him.
Over and over and over and over again.
Exactly. So yeah, I think Carrie on this one too. Casey Musgraves might, end up being big, but I think that it's almost like an automatic connection to pop. So.
Yeah. So let's throw this out. Carrie says, "Give me a storyteller and not the TV-made star." Yes, she was made by American Idol, but she embraced country music for what she was, and she's basically become country music now. Listen, in fact, if you haven't listened to her latest album, which is all gospel music, it will bring a tear to your eye.
But then she can turn around. Have you heard the version of Home Sweet Home she did, the Motley Crue song?
Yeah, she could.
Dude.
Oh
my gosh.
Her voice speaks for itself.
Yes, it does. But you could also, there are several of us, myself being included, that could take Carrie's comment and flip it around and say that you got Carrie Underwood, who was a waitress discovered by something and fit into the country music scene, but has decided what she wants to make. Right. Whereas I would imagine a little bit of Casey Musgraves is probably being created and manufactured, and she's a product of the system that country music wants to evolve into. To Brian's point, they have to evolve. They feel like they do. And Casey's a kind of a cog in that wheel a little bit, and she's probably very talented. Don't get me wrong. But you can't tell me that picture right there with that hat and that guitar, and then she turns around and does something with Mark Ronson. If you look at half of the images that pop up, she's on a red carpet posing with a little thing, and it's like that's not what you think when you think country music. That's why I say this part of the bracket, our thinking has to take a left-hand turn, because you can't really
Merry-Go-Round is a song that pun intended does circles around any Carrie song. I will agree with Carrie on that. Merry-Go-Round is an amazing song. Your mom says at least Carrie has talent. I disagree with that, because if you listen to any of Casey's albums, Casey is an amazing lyricist.
So Merry-Go-Round is better than Jesus Take the Wheel?
No, but Casey writes most of her music.
Any Underwood song was what was said that you agreed with. Any Underwood song. So Merry-Go-Round is above Jesus Take the Wheel?
I can't say that Carrie wrote that song.
That wasn't the point that was made.
Casey writes her music.
Merry-Go-Round is a song that does circles around any Carrie Underwood song. So you would choose Merry-Go-Round over Jesus Take the Wheel?
Just
That's cool. I'm just trying to clarify. Carrie
Underwood
right.
wins this round, but
yes. So results were 89% Carrie Underwood, 11% Casey Musgraves, but that's because her name sounds like a modern day NASCAR driver. I'm sure she'll be famous enough to get more than 25% if we did this again 2 years from now. Next, my favorite bracket. You've got Chris Stapleton versus Luke Bryan in the bracket that I call What's the Difference? Because one dude wrote songs for the other one, so they're the same thing. Dave.
Stapleton, hands down. Y'all know my Stapleton is the man.
We've had that conversation several times.
Stapleton is the man that is saving country music.
I don't think he. I don't agree. I don't think he's played enough. I don't think that he's mainstream enough to save it. I think that he's
as smooth as Tennessee whiskey, which is not smooth.
Anytime you put an album out,
sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm. I can't do that.
Whew, okay. Anytime any artist puts out a song called Them Stems. Okay, we've had this conversation before, Dave.
Willie Nelson.
And Willie Nelson does not get heard on the radio, and Willie Nelson has a very niche audience, and he's popular because he's famous. He had a few songs a long time ago, and the man ain't done nothing since then but smoke pot. And Chris Stapleton falls into a part of country music that we have to be very careful not to glorify. Because he is one of those that says this is something that you do as often as you drink beer or go to a bar. And we, for a long time, have held our nose and said, yeah, you can drink beer, get drunk, go to a bar. We don't do that, but you can listen to music where they say that as long as it does. But this dude's taking it in a whole other direction. So if you don't vote for your state to legalize marijuana, you can at the same time support and glorify Chris Stapleton's music, because that's the direction he's pulling country music in. If that's what you want to listen to in 3 years, support the guy. That's fine.
Rain makes corn. Corn makes whiskey.
I just said it.
Whiskey makes my baby.
We
feel a little
I don't know why
frisky.
Siri keeps thinking I'm talking to her. Can I turn that off? I'm not talking to you, Siri.
And he doesn't say wash. He says Warshin.
Well, yeah, because that's what they say in Georgia.
You got to vote Stapleton here.
No, I'm not going to. Even though Luke Bryan says that one of his favorite things is being in a stand downwind from a deer, or a deer looking at a deer downwind from his tree stand. If the deer is downwind from your stand, son, you ain't bagging that deer. He's downwind from you, which means he smells you, Luke Bryan. But it wouldn't surprise me if Stapleton wrote that song, because he wrote several of his songs anyway. I'm going with Luke Bryan purely on principle. I've actually rode in trucks. I've actually enjoyed some of his early stuff. So the audience, where it really matters for this part, is 54% Chris Stapleton, 46% Luke Bryan, which just proves my point. What's the difference? All right, next round. Number 3, Eric Church, which I'm going to move this out of the way because this was the error. It says Luke Bryan. Come on, man. Come on, man. It says Luke Bryan. And I get it. He was on the previous slide, so I'm not mad. But anyway.
Adam, has Dave ever swayed your vote by pulling out the golden voice?
Dave only makes me dig my heels in when he does that. I think that's become obvious.
Exactly. And then Carrie, having seen both live, Stapleton has feeling behind his songs.
That's cool.
Luke is more so worried about shaking his butt in jeans.
But if he's the one,
shake it for me, girl.
If he's the one saving
for me, girl,
I will take 1,000 Luke Bryans. Is the last thing I'll say on it. I will take 1,000 Luke Bryans, because there are 1,000 of them like him out there right now. If Chris Stapleton is what's saving country music, just be ready to hear a lot of content in country music, Dave, that a lot of people who are the core audience or used to be aren't going to agree with, and it's going to take it further away from where you want to listen to it. Just be ready. That's all I'm saying. Just be ready. For this bracket, though, Eric Church versus Miranda Lambert. I don't know how this is even close. Because I don't know how you put gunpowder and lead up against anything that the Chief has put together. So
1, 2, 3. Eric Church.
Eric Church. And it was actually 60-40. Eric Church over Miranda Lambert. So evidently people like The House That Made Me. I don't know.
Which I do like. because
Sure.
I feel attached to the house I grew up in.
The
And-
one song where Miranda Lambert didn't play the angry ex-girlfriend. Yes, it was pulled off very well. I agree.
Yes.
All right, so Eric moves
And
on.
that song was actually written for Blake Shelton.
Nice. Awesome. All right, so
Nice.
the last one here in the 90s country, Brad Paisley versus Luke Combs.
So I had somebody this week, Eric Terry, tell me that he didn't like Brad Paisley because he doesn't like joke country.
Okay. Like
More
Toby
power-
Keith, Brad Paisley, yeah.
More power
can
to
understand
you, but joke country was what a lot of the 70s country was. Take this job and shove it was joke country. A Boy Named Sue was joke country. Brad Paisley and Luke, this is a good pairing because I think Luke Combs is a modern version of Brad Paisley. But I've got to go Brad Paisley here. Luke Combs
Yeah.
is great.
Well,
Luke Combs is
one of my... Go ahead, sorry.
Luke Combs is one of the modern country artists that I could listen to on repeat.
Yeah. I think you talk about joke country. I mean, one piece at a time. I bought a 54, 55, 56. I mean,
Right.
That's the epitome of it, right? That was the man in black himself. So I... nice. So when did I tell you that I had the slideshow ready? Did I not tell you to look for errors? Yes, you did. Gosh, man. Sorry. Fine. Thank you for all of the work you put into it. I don't mean to sound ungrateful. I'm not a fan of Luke Combs. And I
I'm not
think
shocked.
part of the well, I know, but part of the taste that I had in my mouth is She's Got the Best of Me.
Yeah.
Sounds like anybody on the radio today could have put that out. Anybody could have put it out. And he's just as what's the guy's name? I can't think of his name now.
Morgan
Party.
Wallen?
John Party. John Party puts out a song that sounds. What's the name of that song? Is it John Party?
Boots.
Yeah. No, it's
Kicking boots.
Ain't
or-
Always the Cowboy was one, but I can't remember the name of it anyway. But it sounds just like old country, and then he turns around and in the very next song, he's making stuff that sounds like everybody else. And I think Luke Combs is a little susceptible to that. If he can get away from that and start to push more of that, and I get it, the Stapleton soulful stuff. If he can head in that direction, I think he'd be great. But that one, She's Got the Best of Me, just sounds with the snap. It sounds like snappy country stuff. And Brad Paisley, I think if you think about the joke country thing, Whiskey Lullaby, Remind Me, Little Moments, Then We
didn't
Dance.
have
There's
to
a lot
be.
out there. There's
Yeah.
a lot out there that's not that way. So I'm going Brad Paisley on this one. All right.
Yep.
Audience was 81% Brad Paisley, 19% Luke Combs. Again, probably because of name recognition alone. But bless me. But that's the way that went down. So, going into the semifinals for Modern Country. Semifinal number 1, Carrie Underwood. Bless me again. Carrie Underwood versus Chris Stapleton. I'm allergic to Chris Stapleton. That's the problem.
There's no doubt in my mind this is Carrie Underwood.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I know
I
you're
have-
voting Stapleton.
Well, I mean, there's that whole principle thing, yes. But I do think on this one, if you think about like impact broadly, Stapleton's had an impact. He's popular. He's bringing that kind of, I always call him the next Travis Tritt. He reminds me a lot of him, the power and the soul that he brings to stuff. But I think Carrie Underwood's overall impact is broader than I would say Chris Stapleton's is. So I think we agree on that one. So Carrie Underwood is going to move forward, unless anybody in the comments has anything otherwise they would like to share. So we're going to move on to the next. And Vance Cope says, I'll say Carrie is prettier than that dude. Yeah. Richard Petty hat aside for Chris Stapleton. Maybe he needs a haircut and a real job. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next semifinal and kind of vamp for a second, I guess. So this is Eric Church versus Brad Paisley. And for me, I always will default to listening to an Eric Church album. But at the same time, I've been listening to Brad Paisley since Who Needs Pictures. So this one's a tough one for me to think past. But I think a lot of the stuff that Eric Church is doing now, I think a lot of his recent releases and every single album, I think, man, I don't know if I'm kind of scared of what his next thing's going to be, because we've experienced that with like Zac Brown Band, right? And it's like, is this next album going to be as good as the last one? And it tends to always be as good. And I think Brad Paisley, after American Saturday Night, I think that started to he waned a little bit. So I think upward trajectory, I think you've got Church. He's probably, in terms of entertainer of the year, the next Garth Brooks, next guy like that. And I think that Eric Church brings in the songwriting, because if you listen to some of the stuff on Mr. Misunderstood and you actually listen to the wordplay, like on Record Year and stuff like that, I would have to give it to Eric in this one. Dave.
So to quote, Wendy Lay says Brad is a better musician. I totally agree with that. I think musicianality alone, give it to Brad, because Brad on that Telecaster is just amazing.
Yeah,
but I'm looking up some lyrics here. Hold up. This is from Eric Church's last album, or he's got a new song before this, but we talked about this, I can't remember, but when the song first came out.
Yep.
Take me on up to Detroit City. Jails are full, the factories are empty. Mama's crying, young boys dying. Under that red, white, and blue flag, still flying. Drop me off in Baltimore, where every other window's got a plywood board, where dreams become drugs and guns. The only way out is to shoot or to run. Stick that in your country song. Take that one to number one and get the whole world singing along. Yes, stick that in your country song. What I like about Eric Church, he's not afraid to bring up modern issues and do exactly what he just said, stick it in a country song and make the whole world sing along. And I think because of that, people are going to follow Eric Church a little bit more, and he's going to become more mainstream. But what we've seen about Eric Church is he's not afraid to stick with country music. Whereas we've seen with Shania, where we saw with Faith Hill, where we saw with Tim McGraw, where we saw with Kenny, when they got popular, they leave country and they start becoming pop. Eric Church is country.
Yeah.
And Eric Church will always be country.
Eric Church's style is like the grandson of what Garth Brooks started,
Right.
It's that rock feel to it. He has some that have steel guitar and sound very country, but for the most part, he's country because of the storytelling. He's a break from, like we were saying with Luke Combs in that one song that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth, he breaks from that, hey girl, I've got a truck and there's a party down by the creek and we're going to dance on a tailgate and the moonlight, and it's the same thing over and over. And then all of a sudden Eric Church comes on, and there's one song on Mr. Misunderstood where he's talking about, it's called Mistress Name Music. He's talking about when he was in church as a little boy, remembering the lady who played piano and how that stirred a fire in music. But the way he words it, it just carries you along, and there's just nothing really like that out there right now. So yeah, I would say Eric.
I'm voting Eric Church here, hands down. And I think I'm a little shocked here that we're both agreeing with this. We both love both of these artists.
Oh, sure.
But I think Eric Church, if we're talking this being a modern country bracket, where I said Chris Stapleton is going to save country music, I think Eric Church is right there along with him.
Yeah,
saving country music.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting to see where that pans out. Where does it go in the overall direction? Because Eric Church is in a position where, in the midst of everything going on in the whole world and in our country, he sung the national anthem at the Super Bowl.
Right. It wasn't great.
What's that?
It wasn't great.
I thought it was. I'm a huge fan. I'm a total homer for Eric Church right now. But I think that if you can sing country music and sing songs like Loves Me Like Jesus Does and have that in your repertoire, but at the same time be concerned enough about politics to understand the other side's views to where you can actually be included in the Super Bowl right now.
Right.
Because if he was a true country Republican, dyed-in-the-wool conservative singing songs about Jesus, they would never in a million years. But he's found a way to be palatable by everyone, which gives his music more of a message than someone who just draws a line like the Dixie Chicks or somebody like that did, So,
right.
So yeah, I think he's going to be more relevant. But all right, so Eric Church moves on. So this
real quick,
final,
real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Carrie says, "Who kept that Australian guy out of this bracket?" So what we'll do, and Adam, I hadn't talked to you about this, but before we do
guy.
Keith Urban. But before we do the final four, I want us to take two people from each bracket that should have made it in, and maybe talk about why they weren't in.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Throwing me a curveball, man.
Yes,
I love
sir.
it. All right. Modern Country Championship, Carrie Underwood versus Luke Bryan / Eric Church.
I was like, wait a
That's
second.
really bothering me.
What? No. So this one's tough because we've got the modern man, and the modern woman.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm going to vote Carrie.
Yeah. I figured as much, but I because she does have a lot of good stuff. The story is great of where she came from.
Right.
But for me, again, if I have a choice and I had two CDs in front of me, and this is going to sound like I'm just biased towards male artists, I know. But if I had two CDs in front of me and I had to listen to Before He Cheats or Mr. Misunderstood or anything else Eric Church put out, I'm choosing Eric Church. That's where my choice is going to be. He fits in exactly what I want to hear right now out of country music, which isn't the traditional type stuff like George Strait, which surprises me every time I find a new song that I like it. But I think that he's like Garth Brooks. He's given everybody something that they didn't even know they wanted. It's not the old stuff, and it doesn't sound like pop. It's kind of somewhere in between. So I'm going to go with Eric Church.
All right. So I guess we need the listeners here. So Eric Church or Carrie Underwood, who you got? I'm not going to say any more to try not to lead the witnesses. So,
all right. So this will set up then. I know you said let's wait till the final four, but while we get votes, let's recap. So the final four classic versus groups is going to be Senior versus Brooks and Dunn, and then whoever wins this one is going to face George Strait in the other bracket. So,
well, everybody's saying Carrie. Looks like.
Okay. That's good because there's a there's a shirt. I watched this show called The IT Crowd, and one of the dudes always wears funny T-shirts, and one of the shirts is a Venn diagram, so it's two circles, right? And one circle says music I like, and then the other circle says music you like, and then the overlap says music I used to like, right? Because if anybody else likes it, I don't want to listen to it. So I'm kind of glad everybody's picking Carrie. It makes me like Eric more. So that's music I don't have to used to like then. All right, so Carrie Underwood moves on to face and get demolished by George Strait in the final four. All right, so do we want to let's go through these one by one then to talk classic country, two artists that should have made it?
Yep, two artists that should have made it.
All right, you go ahead because I see you writing. I haven't had a chance because I have to drive. So go ahead.
We've talked about both of these on the list. One of them you will not put, and one of them I'm sure you will. Willie Nelson and Conway Twitty.
Yeah, I've got Conway Twitty too. Gosh, man. So what do you consider classic? How far back do you have to go?
Let's go 70s and below.
70s and below. Yeah, Conway would have been one of my picks. I'm going to go with Kenny Rogers. And not just for his chicken.
No Porter?
No Porter.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Kenny. All right.
Okay.
So country groups, duos, trios, or more. Who you got?
And I hated doing this because I tried when I did the seedings to do female and male. Like if it was really just me and seeding how I listened to, it probably would have been mostly male. I mean, that's no offense. There are some great female singers.
Sure.
But if I had my druthers, I'm listening to a guy over a female. But my two that I left out, the Oak Ridge Boys and old ZBB.
Okay.
Pure country Zach Brown.
Yeah, I had Oak Ridge Boys too. My mom used to love Joe Bonzel. Met him backstage one time, but I was going to go Oak Ridge Boys too, and I would throw Rascal Flatts in there just for fun.
Really?
Even though live they're not as good, I'd throw Rascal Flatts in there. I think they had some good ones.
Okay. All right. So 90s. Who you got?
90s. I would probably hang on. Let me go down to that title side. I would probably go for 90s with. Clay Walker.
Yep.
And so tell me one of yours. Let me. Like I said, I was driving. I hadn't had much time to think about it.
Vance. So Dave hates women's sports and country singers.
Imagine that.
Imagine
that. So I would say, dadgummit. So I'd actually take it back. I would not say Rascal Flatts.
Okay.
I take that back. I just had a thought. I would say Lone Star.
Good one.
I would throw Lone Star in for the groups. So 90s, I would say Clay Walker, and I would say Tracy Byrd.
Okay, that's good. We agree on one of them with Clay Walker.
Okay.
You left out the Big Dog Daddy. Toby, man.
The one who started Joke Country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who's your daddy? Who's your baby?
Oh, we had the same
Who's
thought.
your buddy? Who's your friend? All right.
Oh,
and then
do I have to pick somebody from modern country?
You got to pick two somebody's.
All right, you go first, man.
We go with Carrie's opinion of Keith Urban, and then Thomas Rhett, who has meant a lot to country music now.
Well, dude, yeah, I'd actually go with Thomas Rhett too.
All right,
my kids love Crash and Burn thanks to their Pop and Nan. So I would go Thomas Rhett and Keith Urban. Yeah, he was kind of the same with Brad Paisley. He was a little bit more of popish kind of stuff, but the way he was on that guitar, man, that was
beautiful.
one of the coolest things to watch. All right, that was good. Yeah.
All right, those are two
Cool.
that. Yeah. All right, let's go.
All right, the final four. Whew. Country Greatest Showdown / Hoedown. Round one in the final four. Hank Williams Sr. versus Brooks and Dunn.
Lord, I apologize.
Who is Dunn?
Lord, I'm sorry for doing this. It's midnight in Montgomery. I've got to vote B and D here.
Sentimentality, fun family story, Colija. Brooks and Dunn had much more music that meant something to me growing up. Went to the Only in America tour, fantastic concert. I got to go with Brooks and Dunn too. Again, if you had two CDs in front of me and I only had to pick one, which was I going to listen to? Most of the time I would pick Brooks and Dunn more often, yes, when it gets down to it. So I would say Brooks and Dunn. All right. So that was easier than I thought it was going to be, Dave.
I know, really. I thought that was going to be a big argument. The big argument was the Alan Jackson, Garth Brooks.
Yeah, exactly. We knew that was coming, though. All right.
Right.
Final four, number 2, 90s versus modern. George Strait versus Carrie Underwood.
Once again, Lord, I apologize. King George is amazing. But I truly think if you put two albums in front of me, and one of them is George Strait's greatest hits, and the other one is Carrie Underwood's current album, the one that I sent you says, if you're not listening to this, you should.
Sure. That's the gospel one, like the Christian.
The gospel one.
And stuff, yeah.
It's called My Savior. I'm listening to Carrie Underwood 99 times out of 100. Just because she has such an appreciation for past country. Listen to her version of I Told You So.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I love that song. I love her version of that.
So George's music has never brought a tear to my eye. Carrie's brings a tear to my eye a lot of times I listen to it.
I Saw God Today. The flower growing through the concrete that represents the beauty of the baby having a tough time being born in the hospital. That doesn't give you the feels, man.
It does, but just something here to me about hearing Carrie's story and hearing Carrie's, just, you can tell her heart for the music. Sure. And that's why I love that Carrie won the modern country music bracket, because Carrie is an old soul when it comes to country music. She might have got there a non-traditional way, But Carrie is truly an old soul.
Well, that probably gave her more of an appreciation. I mean, more of an ability, because nothing against the folks that are beating the pavement and playing the bars and all that in Nashville and everything, but to be just a waitress in Oklahoma and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
you loved it enough to be good before anyone even knew you were there. You loved it enough to sing in church before anybody even knew you were there. You weren't doing it for money, but you sung because you loved it, and now all of a sudden you get to do what you already loved. I mean, that's the America, man.
Here's
There's
the
really
other
nothing
thing
more
about,
American than that.
right. Here's the other thing that I'm going to say for Carrie.
Okay.
And Adam, I'm going to make you mad saying this, probably. Not mad's the wrong word. I'm going to disappoint you saying this.
Don't make me angry.
I love George Strait. But when it comes to country music, he's a one-trick pony. But when it comes to Carrie Underwood, she can do I Don't Even Know My Last Name. She can do Jesus Take the Wheel. She can do I Dug My Key into the front side of his pretty little souped up 4x4. But George is Amarillo by Morning. He's always check yes or no, cowboy, rodeo, country. Carrie can do it all. I'm voting Carrie.
Okay. I would argue, and again, it comes down male and female, right? I mean, it's boy versus girl again. But I think that the Before He Cheats and those types of songs fall into that same kind of Miranda Lambert category. And I feel like it kind of cheapens her ability to do that kind of stuff. I almost discount that, right? Because I want to hear a story, like a deep story. I want to hear I Can Still Make Cheyenne. I want to hear Amarillo by Morning about a man that is so addicted to trying to win a rodeo that he knows he'll never win, that he lost a wife, a girlfriend, and he's literally bankrupt with nothing but the clothes he has on his back, and he can't get away from it. That's country music to me overall. And no offense to Carrie's latest album, and I'm probably 60% only saying this because we're gonna make a good podcast and argue with each other, right? But if I want to hear hymns, I'll go turn over the Christian music station. If I want to listen to country music, it's going to be about more than just that. So I'm not going to base it off of, like, her latest album is excellent, but I want to base it off of more of just everything else, But I think that without George Strait, I don't think you could ever have a Carrie Underwood, because I don't think that the foundations of country music would be strong enough to be able to support a new person coming in, giving a different take on things. Because the one-trick ponies are the cash cows. The one-trick ponies are the ones that hold everything else up so that Casey Musgraves can try new stuff with Mark Rober, whoever it was, Mark Ronson, and can try pop. Because he's still there holding up the people that still listen to country music after all these years, despite how it's changed and everything else. So I'm going to vote George Strait, because I would rather listen to some of that old stuff, The Chair, The Fireman, all of that. Because for me, country music, and for you too, because I know that you did it too. For me, country music is literally, like Trace Atkins said, songs about me. But at the same time, it's just songs about people and life. But it's the tie back to going out, dancing at Pure Country, dancing in Tuscaloosa, going to Birmingham and dancing over there. All of it was centered around that George Strait type of thing, and that's what it will always mean more to me. So,
all right. So looking at it, it looks like George wins. Looking at the people who are voting here, Wendy, Vance, Kathy, all say George. Looks like Brad is voting for Carrie. Bonus points for the Christmas album. I don't think George ever had a Christmas album. So I am outplayed here. So I'm going to go, I guess we're going to have to say George wins.
He did. He had Classic Christmas, Merry Christmas Straight to You, Straight for the Holidays. He actually had 4 or 5.
Okay, but still, George Strait.
Yeah.
All right.
So that sets up a fascinating final.
And this is Adam's personal hell.
Again, we've been there twice. I hate this so much. No, so I mean, you have George Strait and Brooks and Dunn for the championship. So we can take the queen off now. No offense to any female artists, but these are all men. So we're going to say the king of country music, or king. I actually have to put parentheses S. I said that Brooks and Dunn win. So there we go. The king or kings of country music. What you got, Dave?
How many, and I'm asking you this because I don't know, how many George Strait songs have a country line dance named after him?
Named after them? None.
All right. How many became a line dance phenomenon?
Well, again, none of them were named after them, so none. But you could pretty much do a two-stepper, a Montgomery County Cha-Cha, maybe even a tush push to a few of them. But named after it, none.
How many Brooks and Dunn song became a national phenomenon?
One.
Heel toe, do-si do, come on baby, let's go,
Yeah.
boot scooting.
One.
How many songs are like Red Dirt Road, Only in America, My Maria, that become a national phenomenon on the song itself?
You Look So Good in Love, Love Without End, Amen, Check Yes or No, Write This Down, Give It Away, Full Hearted Memory, One Night at a Time, Baby's Gotten Good at Goodbye, Carried Away,
When B and
The
D
Man in Love with
retired,
You, Let's Fall to Pieces Together.
when B and D retired, did the world of country music, as they knew it, stop until they basically came back together as a group? When Strait retired, country music went on. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but and
It went on without both of them, though.
as Vance says, didn't B and D break up? Yes, but they're back together now.
Yeah, because the solo act didn't work for Ronnie Dunn, so
Right.
of course they got back together.
I'm voting Brooks and Dunn here,
Okay.
just because I think without Brooks and Dunn, there is no 90s country. Without George Strait, someone else steps up into that solo artist category.
Yeah. I don't think that they're. If somebody would have stepped up, they would have been making country music and just not been as popular. I don't think there is. I don't think you can replace either one of them. But I think at the same time, there were other duos out there. Again, Brooks and Dunn were on that same kind of edge as Garth Brooks, a little rock, a little country, a little bit of walking that fine line and doing it very successfully. Don't get me wrong. And My Maria, every time you say that, it's going to make me want to vote for them. Mm-hmm. But I have to go with George Strait overall, just because of the fact that the body of work, I think, meant more for country music at the time. And you mentioned how he's kind of a one-trick pony. I don't think that's inaccurate. But I mean, 2019, the guy was still cutting albums. I mean, Honky Tonk Time Machine came out.
It wasn't great.
No, it wasn't great. But he's still out there. He's still trying. Brooks and Dunn said, let's try something different. Kix does those radio shows now, those radio countdowns and stuff for the NASCAR network or whatever it is, right? The Z-Max Country or whatever it is. And Ronnie Dunn made a few solo albums that didn't work. Let's get back together and try it again, So they're still both active. But I think that George Strait, the foundation that he laid overall, I think set the stage for everybody that came after him. And I don't think that he was a Garth Brooks in the way that he set a bar that other people were trying to reach, but he was just the understated guy who was consistent. And I think that consistency did more for country music than any other act who may have tried several different things, or anybody else that was even consistent themselves would have done. So I'm going with King George.
All right. It looks like I am outvoted again on the show. Most of the group is saying King George. So King George wins.
But I think, it's like we said overall. I think with the Superman Cap thing, and not to cop out, but with the Superman Cap thing, the vote went for Cap. But everybody kind of agreed that when you talk Marvel, you talk DC, those were the two, right?
Right.
And I think it's the same thing with this. When you think duos in country music, you think Brooks and Dunn before anybody else, or groups. You think them before anybody else, before Rascal Flatts, before Black Hawk, before Diamond Rio. They're the first one that comes to mind. When you think solo acts, a Garth or a George, I think George is going to be one of the first people most folks think of, at least for the next 20 years until the Luke Combs of the world take over. But I think we could both say that this was the way the final should have been. overall.
Yeah, I could agree. I think you could have thrown Alabama in there over Brooks and Dunn. I mean, you could have. I don't think you could have thrown anybody in there over George Strait.
Yeah, I don't think you could have. No.
Strait's George Strait is, pardon the movie pun, pure country.
Sure. Yep.
So,
and that's my cup of tea most times when I have to pick. But I think overall, I think, it's like I said though, My Maria is almost in itself the perfect country song at the same time. One of the perfect ones, and so I'm not mad at them being in there, and I could go that way. Probably if we did the show 5 times, I might pick them 2 and George 3.
Yeah. By the way, one of the modern country artists that we didn't put in here that I'm shocked we didn't even bring up, Blake Shelton.
Oh yeah, Blake Shelton. Yeah.
Take it you're not a fan.
No, I like Blake Shelton. I mean, I don't mind his stuff. I like Old Red. That was a good song.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Blake Shelton. Yeah.
Adam, if they want to call the show and get a hold of the show, how would they do that?
They would call 650-UAB show. Spell it out on your keypad. You'll hear a message followed by a beep. Thank you, Dave. And leave a message about a question, a hot take, something you just want to discuss, a story to share, and we will play it on the show every single time. 650-UAB show. Or you can interact with us on the socials. Dave, how do they do that?
Instagram at Unrelated at Birth. I'm at DAdams419. He is at Run Tide Run. Facebook, join the Unrelated at Birth listener group. We have a lot going on there every day. There's a lot of stuff going on. In fact, if you look in there right now, Jeffrey is basically backing himself up, saying that Eric Church and Luke Bryan look the same with sunglasses on. But anyway, also like us on Facebook, Unrelated at Birth. Twitter, I'm at DAdams409. He is at Run Tide Run, even though he's not very active, but he's on there.
I'm only on Twitter for certain things. I'm not going to have much posted. So
the show is at Not Related Bros. Once again, remember patreon.com/Unrelated at Birth. If we have 11 patrons, I will chug this crappy bourbon and I won't sing for a month. This show, you got a lot of singing.
Yeah, you guys missed your chance. This is where it would have made a difference.
Unapologetic. Vance Cope says, where was Billy Ray Cyrus? Wait till after we do the show on the live. We're going to play out that 90s country bracket really quick.
But to that I respond, exactly.
You'll see why on the bracket on the group. Anyway, guys, that was our show. That was our bracket madness. Next week, you will hear from Kerry Loney from his trip report. I was on that trip, so you will hear from both of us. And then, I don't know. What do we have? I don't know what we're going to be talking about.
We've been putting so much effort into these brackets, man. I don't know what we're going to talk. We'll think of something, though. We always do.
Brad Toon says, I protest the lack of country Canadian content.
I agree. Paul Brandt.
There will be two Canadians. There will be 2 Canadians on the 90s country bracket that will be on the post show. So stick around on YouTube. Anyway, guys, we love y'all. Help us think of stuff to do for the coming weeks. Besides this trip report with Carrie, we're at a loss. We put 5 straight weeks of Bracket Madness Challenge. We don't know what to do next. I mean, do we talk about... we got to talk about the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, we could do that. We're several weeks behind, but we could do that. Yeah, maybe we got to watch that Kong Godzilla thing.
I've already watched it.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, guys, we love y'all. We truly mean it. Adam, take him home.
Yeah, guys, thank you again for giving us some time out of your week. We appreciate it like always. And we love you, but not as much as Jesus does. Be kind to one another. Stay safe out there, and we will catch you next week.
Bye. All right.
Now I have to make you riff for a second. I got water.
I got pee again, too.
There is a 5% chance that this hat will not come off of my head.
5%? Yeah. Okay. By the way, I got to pee. I got to pee as well. I knew
I was going to do that.
Yeah, right, I got to pee as well. Guys, you get
we'll be right back.
quick little break. All right, I made it back before he did. I'm a little shocked at that. But we appreciate y'all for sticking around. I'm sorry when you drink a full one of these and another one of these throughout the show. You got to go when you got to go. But anyway, why is it so hard for me to vamp? Adam is good at vamping, and I'm the one with the broadcasting background. You would think that I could vamp a little bit better, but I'm not good at vamping by myself. It's a little weird. There will be a Virgil Ask a Question. Unfortunately, this week, I don't really know when there's a chance we could have put it in. Virgil, would you rather us do it now, or do you want us to wait until next week's show when it is on the podcast? Virgil, I'll ask you. You get to decide. Do you want us to use the show or use the question on the post show, or do you want us to wait to use it next week?
Yeah, I didn't want. Literally, it was just like I didn't want to throw it too much at it, but
yeah,
we can play it now.
We could, but I gotta go to my non-country hat. Just a second.
Dude, so I haven't worn that hat in, oh gosh, I don't know, at least 5 to 10 years, right? Yeah. And so the hat band on that thing stuck to my forehead. And you can see it if you go back and watch the video. As soon as I pull it off, there's a black streak of the inside of that hat band like stuck to my head. That's why I gotta go, guys.
Your dad said you guys choose. Let's wait till next week to use that question. That way, Virgil, you can also have one in the hopper. Vance says Kong v Godzilla is a big screen movie. Watching it at home on the iPad underserves the movie. I need to go back and rewatch the Godzilla and the Kong movies, just because I didn't really remember anything from those other movies.
Yeah, I remember the Bryan Cranston Godzilla one, and I remember the Jackson cut of King Kong. And I actually watched King Kong the other day on Turner Classic Movies, the original.
Ooh, cool.
It's pretty good.
Throw up that 90s country bracket that's on your...
you share screen this time. It's on your computer, isn't it?
It's on, but remember, I don't have PDF on mine, so I can't...
You don't have what?
I don't have Adobe on mine.
It'll open in preview.
Yeah, but it won't change. Like, it won't... Like, I can't...
I don't have that either.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's just going to take me a second.
Well, if you could...
chocolate now.
Your
I'll
chocolate
do all the
latte?
work, man. That's fine. Jeez Louise, man.
I mean, I'm the voice. You're the... I kid. Apparently, our listeners like you more than me anyway. So
why do you say that?
I'm because no one likes me.
Got outvoted every single time.
Everybody hates me.
I do not see it.
It's in a text message.
I know, but I don't see it in the details. Can you text it to me again?
Yeah, just a second. Dope-a-dope-do. It was there.
I'm the golden voice of the Southeast. Thanks for noticing me.
It's Golden Voice of the South. Thank you very much. You are missing Texas and Arkansas and all that.
Oh, my bad. Kentucky, where your bourbon comes from.
Or my bourbon. Yep, there you go. It is slowly making its way to you. It says delivered now.
All right.
Oh, thank you, Kathy. Okay, all right, here's a country music question. Name one of the top 5 songs that led to the most selling albums. The Dance?
Name one of the top 5 songs that led the most selling albums. So I want to make sure I understand. Is that the top 5 songs that have been like bought as singles and played as singles, or is that the lead song on the top 5 most selling albums?
Huh.
So let's...
I voted with you, Dave. I'm a sucker for picking losers. My brackets are always a mess. Thanks, Brad. FYI, I was copying and pasting the text in the assembly line. Church was right after Brian, and the junior senior thing was just an automatic habit.
Oh, it's all
Jeffrey.
good. Don't worry about it.
Jeffrey, we look. Even if that thing was full of mistakes, which it wasn't, we have no room to say anything because that was amazing.
Oh yeah.
I thank you very much. You saved me and Adam a lot of headache.
Saved me a lot of headache.
Well, me too with the brackets.
That's true. That is true, because you are the bracket creator and I'm the presentation guy.
Yeah,
That's true.
the guy. So I do think that with the discussion, having the listeners do the first round, that probably saved us a good bit of time too.
Oh, it did, yeah. It would have been 4 hours. It would have been like the Snyder Cut.
Yeah. All right. Your dad says name 1 through 5 of the top 20 country songs of all time.
Walk the Line.
I'm gonna guess.
So I'm gonna name 1 through 5, not in any particular order.
Okay.
Fancy, Walk the Line, Friends in Low Places, Amarillo by Morning. And I'm going to throw the dance in there just to have 2 Garth Brooks ones. I don't know.
I'm cheating here. I'm going according to Rolling Stone. I just want to see.
You can't look it up. That defeats the whole purpose.
No, it doesn't.
Oh my gosh.
No,
This isn't an
it's,
open book test, Dave.
Oh my gosh, this is going to take forever. I'm scrolling to the bottom, but my computer's not catching up. I don't know.
Here, stop. Don't scroll to the bottom and give us your 5 guesses. How about that?
I'm going to go He Stopped Loving Her Today, The Dance, Fancy,
The Fancy Dance.
Walk the Line, Tear in My Beer.
That's 5.
Okay.
So we agree on 3 of them then. Interesting.
Yeah. Huh. Concrete Angel. Okay. Walk the Line, Friends in Low Places, Choices. Where were you in Concrete
about
Angel?
Choices, man. I've had choices. I forgot about that one.
Where were you? Oh, I forgot about Where Were You too.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. Did Adam just call it the Steiner cut?
No, I said the Snyder Cut. The Steiner. It's the Steiner.
Yep.
It's the
All
German
right.
version of the Justice League. I'm trying to share my screen. Hang on.
All right. Dave is the gut that gets scolded at trivia night for using his phone on the 3rd question. All right.
Maybe, maybe not.
What I did on this, and this is just, I did this during work one day. I was bored. We did men versus one-hit wonders versus groups versus ladies.
So how is this? So, okay, we didn't seed that original bracket, right?
Right. This is just 90s.
Got it. Just 90s. All right, got it. All right. George Strait and Kenny Chesney. I mean, that's
Yeah, George.
the Battle of the Tracys with an E. I'm going to go Tracy Lawrence. I love Tracy Bird, Keeper of the Stars and all that, but Paint Me a Birmingham is one of my favorite all-time songs. So,
Yeah, I'll go Tracy Lawrence on this one as well. Real quick, Brad Toon, 2 in the top 5. Adam, how did Garth not get more love?
right?
All right.
All right, so this one you got Garth versus Clay Walker.
And look, Garth is a 3 seed here. Garth.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love Clay Walker, but Garth definitely is a bigger artist. All right, Alan Jackson versus Clint Black.
Alan Jackson.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. Why not? All right, now, so George versus Tracy Lawrence.
George.
Yep, just copy that. Garth versus Alan Jackson. Here we are again. Imagine that.
We'll have to go with what did it in the actual bracket. I'll go with Garth,
All right.
even though I don't agree with it.
So here we are again. George versus Garth.
George.
Yeah. All right. So now down to the ladies.
No, now down to the
Down to
one
hit wonders. That's right.
one-hit wonders.
Dina Carter with her, what was that, Strawberry Wine?
Strawberry Wine.
Versus Ricochet. What was Ricochet's hit?
She's got a daddy's money, her mama's good looks, and look who's looking at me.
Oh, man.
Strawberry Wine's got to win this one.
Yeah, I agree, too. But she shaved her legs for a reason. We got to give her a reason, too. So,
Right.
all right, so Dina Carter.
Yep.
And then David Lee Murphy versus Ty England. Ty England.
He was Garth's guitar player. Should have asked her faster.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I remember that one.
Yeah, and David Lee Murphy, Dust on a Bottle.
Yeah, I'm a huge David Lee Murphy fan, except his
Yeah.
new stuff. So I would go David Lee Murphy.
I didn't know he had new stuff, so David Lee Murphy. But
Yeah, it's typical modern country, unfortunately.
okay,
He drank
here you,
the Kool-Aid.
all right, here you go, Vance. Number 2 on this, and here you go, Brad. Here's your Billy Ray Cyrus and your Paul Brandt.
All right,
But
so who we got?
We got to
Chad
go
Brock.
3.
Yeah, Chad Brock versus the Tractors. Wasn't the Tractors? Who is that pop singer?
Boogie Woogie Choo Choo Train.
Oh, that's right. Oh man, that was a fun one to dance to. I used to love that one.
But it
Oh, good
wasn't.
memories.
She said yes. I said wow. She said when. I said how about her right now? Love can't wait. Then I asked if she believed in fate, and she said yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Chad Brock too. I love Boogie Woogie Choo Choo Train though. But. All right, Billy Ray Cyrus, the one who it was left out last time, versus the Canadian Paul Brandt.
What do you got?
I got Paul Brandt, man. Billy Ray Cyrus was atrocious then, all the way up through today, with his rendition of what was it he sang for Cars?
I don't even remember.
I don't even remember either exactly, but all the way up through Old Town Road, the dude's an abomination. He doesn't know how to raise children. So Paul Brandt, one of my favorite CDs that Blair and I would listen to in college was his CD with "That's the Truth," scrap Piece of Paper, all kinds of good songs on that one that we really loved listening to. So Paul Brandt's gonna be my pick.
I'll go Paul Brandt as well. Although I think Billy Ray had better hits than Achy Breaky Heart. I
Yeah.
Want My Mullet Back. Some Gave All. It Should Have Been Me. I had a hard time putting Billy Ray Cyrus in a one-hit wonder bracket.
Yeah, but it was really just that album.
Right.
Like they were all off of that first album. So okay, all right. So then Dina Carter versus David Lee Murphy.
Dina Carter.
I would say David Lee Murphy. I liked his stuff through the second and third album that he put out. So I would say DLM on that one.
All right. So do we go to the
Yeah, let's see.
listeners?
Does anybody
All right.
even have an opinion? Does anybody even know who we're talking about? I guess that would be the first question.
David Lee Murphy, there might be a little dust on the bottle. There was another one that he had.
He had All Lit Up in Love, Party Crowd, The Road You Leave Behind.
Party Crowd, yeah. That's
Yeah.
the one I was thinking
Every
of.
Time I Get Around You.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had some good ones. Breakfast
All right,
in
looks-
Birmingham was good too.
I hadn't heard that one. Your mom's saying David Lee. Vance says, yeah, I don't know who you're talking about. Wendy says Dina.
Wendy.
Oh, we're tied again.
Wendy! All right, we need one more person. Or we default to the higher seed. I think that's what we say to get through this one.
Oh, there we go.
There's a DLM.
DLM. All right. DLM wins. You can thank your dad.
Mortal Kombat. DLM wins. All right, Chad
Okay.
Brock versus Paul Brandt.
So this is when sorry, Brad, the Canadian dies. Chad Brock, that one album was amazing. He redid Country Boy Can Survive, and it was amazing. You and I riding in that truck, listening to that Chad Brock album. That was college.
Yeah, it was.
So
But
going
I'm sorry,
Chad Brock.
I have more recent memories with my at the time bride to be.
I
But
can admit.
let me take the words off the screen real quick. My Heart Has a History. I mean, I think that's a good one too. I would say Paul Brandt. If anybody knows who Chad Brock and Paul Brandt are, please comment down below. So I know we've got a Canadian in the house that has to vote for Paul Brandt. I want to see the Canadian flag with Paul Brandt next to it, or this doesn't count.
You know that's coming.
I mean, come on.
Go ahead and put him there because, we've already got one vote for Brant. There's your second one.
There's the Canadian.
There's your
flag
third
with
one.
Paul Brandt. All right.
So, okay,
All right, so
this
now-
is when Paul Brandt dies.
Yeah,
David
David
Lee
Lee Murphy versus Paul Brandt. I would have to agree. Yeah.
Oh, your mom Y'all, this is a first. This is a first. Kathy Russell agrees with Dave Adams.
Only after it was
happened?
clear what the outcome was.
What happened here?
I'll never forget that night. I remember it like it was yesterday. All right, so let's finish this one out. George Strait versus David Lee Murphy.
Yeah, just slide that over.
I mean, yeah. Copy paste. All right. Now, Alabama. Hang on.
This is the groups.
This is groups. Alabama versus Lone Star.
You gotta go Alabama. Lone Star's great, but they're no Alabama. Cool.
Yep.
Okay. Alabama's great. Lone Star's great, but they're no Alabama.
Absolutely agree. All right. Montgomery Gentry versus Little Texas. So Montgomery Gentry suddenly is promoted to a 4 seed.
Because
Who knew?
it's all 90s.
All right. Montgomery Gentry versus Little Texas.
Montgomery Gentry.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Diamond Rio versus the Dixie Chicks.
Diamond Rio, yep.
Just gonna go ahead and type it out.
Yep.
No need to mince words. Oh man, I forgot about Sawyer Brown. Man, if they were up against Montgomery Gentry, I might have ended up going with Sawyer Brown on that one.
You can't vote against B&D, though.
Because there's this thing called a one and having it all. Oh my
Yep.
gosh, that was so good. Yeah, B&D.
Yep.
All right, if I can type. All right, so Alabama versus Montgomery Gentry. Copy paste.
Alabama, yeah.
This is so much faster.
Yeah.
All right, Diamond Rio versus Brooks and Dunn.
B&D.
Yeah, because they made it all the way to the final. Before.
Yeah, and then B&D wins that one.
Yep. All right, so down here now, you've got Reba versus Terry Clark, who has better things to do than be seated any higher than 8th.
Yeah, you got Terry Clark. I'm kidding. Reba.
What? I don't even know who you are anymore.
Right.
All right, Reba, and how about Leanne versus Trisha Yearwood? That's my vote. We can talk it out, but that's my vote.
No, I think so. Trisha made it big because of who she backup sang for, and she had a couple of good hits. You know, She's in Love with the Boy.
Sure.
But I think, and the reason they're up against each other is because of that one song.
Yep.
That they both sang together. I think Leanne sang that much better. She acted in the movie, and Leanne's a better country singer.
Agree. Trisha Yearwood, I'm not voting for you because of your current Food Network show. It's horrible. All right, anyway. Down to the next one then. Shania Twain versus Martina McBride.
I'm going to let you vote first here because this is a tough one.
You know exactly what I'm going to say. I'm voting for Martina McBride on this one. I think that her music is far more country. I think that she meant more to the overall trajectory of the genre than Shania Twain did, because as soon as Shania Twain could hit that eject button and become pop, she did. Martina stuck with it. The song she did for Runaway Bride aside. I'm going to go for Martina McBride.
I think I'm going to go with Martina as well. It's close, though.
Closer than the experts think. All right. So we have a 6-3 upset on that one. How about this one? Faith Hill versus Sarah Evans.
Yeah, this isn't going to be your upset. Faith Hill should win this.
I'm actually going to go with Sarah Evans.
Oh.
I think it's
Okay.
like, just like we talked on the show. I think Faith Hill ran up, hit the eject button as soon as she could, and went Hollywood and pop. I think Sarah Evans stuck with it, and she's married to Jay Barker. So,
Well, okay, she's got that Alabama connection. So we got a Sarah Evans, two Sarah Evans. It's your parents. That should only count as one. All right, Wendy says Sarah.
Wendy said it too. Okay.
All right, so Sarah.
All right. So Reba versus Leanne Rimes.
Go ahead and move it.
All right. Copy paste. Now this was not one that was anything that we talked earlier. Martina McBride versus Sarah Evans.
My loyalty is to Sarah Evans just because of who she's married to. She's married to my favorite Alabama football player of all time.
Yep.
I think that longevity of career goes to Sarah Evans. You don't hear anything about Martina anymore. I'm going to give it to Sarah Evans here.
Okay, I'm going to go with Martina, so we're going to have to go to the audience. So every comment from here on out counts for this one. But I say Martina just because I think that her hits were bigger, deeper, more meaningful than Suds in a Bucket, if you had to compare those two. So,
Also, can we bring up a picture that you sent me last week?
Yeah, where is it? Let me see if I can find that one in our text message. Hang on.
I found it.
Yeah, share it. That is an autograph picture that I found that I got when she came to Tuscaloosa. She sang even though she had a cold.
So I just saw this part of the picture at first because I
You
looked
saw
at
the
it.
hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, why is he sending me a picture of Blair?
Why did Blair autograph a picture to him? That's kind of weird.
Well, and then so I showed this to my wife, and she said, "Oh, I know what Dave and Adam are looking at."
I sent you a picture that I found Martina McBride when we went to see her in Tuscaloosa. Everybody else
Right.
can assume what they want to. All right. So it's Martina in the comments, so she moves forward. All right, so Reba versus Martina.
Reba.
Yep.
And
Don't disagree.
this is awesome that this is the final two, B&D versus Reba, because of one of the best duet albums, one of the best duet songs of all time.
Yeah.
You know, have you seen her? Have you seen
Yes.
him?
Yep.
Which I don't understand why this didn't get the play that it got. It
Yeah.
should be put up there as one of the best songs of all time.
Yep.
I'm voting against what we said in the bracket on the show. Reba wins this.
I'm going to go along with that because I want to have this conversation. I want to have a true king versus queen of country music conversation that we didn't get to have before.
Yeah. Oh, really? Jeffrey says, do you know how hard it was to find a decent picture of Shania and Faith for the slideshow?
Yeah, because they're all Vanity Fair bull crap, man. It's all
Right.
dimly lit and barely dressed.
I think you've got to go Reba here. Because Reba, A, is still going. And
So is
B,
George. So is George now.
George said he retired.
He retired from touring in 2012. He's still making music.
Reba's still touring. She's coming to Huntsville. I think that Reba still sounds and looks like Reba. George has lost a step. I think in their heyday, they are 1A and 1B. But if you go with longevity, you've got to give it to Reba.
I'm going to go along with you. Just because of songs like The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia.
Yeah.
I think that she has more. I'm going to go against what I justified choosing George the first time with. I think she has a lot more propensity to be fun and kind of, more powerful vocals, that type of thing. I think
Right.
musically there's more there to work with. It's the whole one-trick pony thing you kind of talked about before.
Oh, Adam left us. What happened? Adam, where did you go? I'm going to try pulling back. It is a little late, so I don't know where he went. There he
I have
is.
no idea what happened. The tab just closed.
Okay.
No clue. Anyway, so I would go with you too. I think that I would go with, in this case, this comparison, I would go with Reba over George.
Okay. Well, there you go.
So you're going to reach out to her and let her know that we picked her and see if she'll come on the show?
Yeah, sure. I'll get right on that, George. Right on it.
I want to
Rose.
have both George and Reba on so we can have it out on the show where they justify to us which one we should pick. What do you think?
Could you imagine? Vance Cope. Jeez, that was scary. Dave going full screen suddenly.
Power zoom. Power zoom.
Hi there.
Oh, man. It is midnight, dude.
Hi there. It's Midnight Cinderella. But don't you worry none. Cause I'm Peter, the pumpkin eater, and the party's just begun. How do you like that for that
Oh, my
obscure
gosh.
Garth Brooks song?
Like, deep cut, man. That's not even B-side.
But you knew exactly what I was
I
talking
knew
about.
exactly what you were talking about.
That was on probably his worst album.
Which one was that on? The one with two pina coladas and all that?
Hold up. No. That was the Oklahoma City bombing song.
What?
The song that he did for Oklahoma City bombing.
Oh, Fresh Horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's that one hand reaches out. It's that one.
Yeah. Fresh. Yeah, it was on the Fresh Horses album.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. He released it. It was peaked on the Canadian country on the number 2.
Oh yeah, I love that song. It's Midnight
yeah.
Cinderella. Oh yeah.
Don't you know?
I play that one on repeat all day, and I'm not sorry for it.
It had That Old Wind.
That one had
Fever.
Beaches of Cheyenne on it, didn't it?
Yep. She's Every Woman.
Yep, good one, man. Oh, that was so good.
Ireland.
How about
That
this?
was a good album.
Garth Brooks is the Billy Joel of country music.
I
Some
can
of his
see
stuff
that.
gets into the mainstream, but every now and then he pulls a track out, and it's like Downeaster Alexa for Billy Joel. It's like,
Yeah.
are we singing about a ship?
Right.
You know? So anyway,
Yeah, here we go. That was great seeing you argue both for and against the same people. Real Jekyll and Hyde.
it's a different comparison, man.
Yeah. And
Different
then Wendy
comparison.
says, "Did you hear that there could be another Chris Gaines album? I am all
Please.
for it."
Please finally make the movie for Pete's sake. Let's just do it and see how it goes. You should have done
Oh.
it the first time, man.
They should have, but they ran out of money. I guess it was.
How did Garth
Man.
Brooks run out of money?
It was WB that ran out of money.
Yeah, Garth Brooks got plenty of it, man. He should have followed through with it.
By the way, Seven.
Trisha talked him out of it. That's what
Yeah.
happened.
Seven. No, they were. He was still married to his longtime girlfriend or longtime wife.
Oh, he was talking to Trisha.
Oh, I know.
She talked him out of it. I guarantee.
Sevens was the one that
yeah.
had
That's
two
when-
pina coladas, long neck bottle.
Yeah.
In Another's Eyes was on that one, and Garth was still
Trisha.
married. Garth was still married to his wife when In Another's Eyes came out, and everybody said, "Oh, they're shacking up."
Trisha Yearwood. Anyway, yeah, Sevens was where he started releasing first editions of his albums.
Right. And if you notice, Garth always releases albums around Christmas time
Yes,
because
I
he
know what I want
knows.
for Christmas.
Right, exactly.
Well, the one thing
You-
though, Garth was way behind the curve on the whole digital thing, man.
He
I
still
remember
is.
he put his own money into a streaming service that was the only place I think you could find his music. You can actually find it on Amazon now. Amazon Music.
Yeah. Well, he's behind Amazon.
Oh,
He's
man.
with Amazon, and I hate it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at the Chris Gaines album now. Man, that was such a good. The way
I just
remember
ripped
it,
that one
lost
onto our
it.
computer. on
I
our
need you to
computer here.
I need you to send that to me.
Okay. Don't
Figure
say
out
that
a
out
way-
loud. Piracy.
I'll pay you for it.
I'll send you the link to Napster. You can download it on your T1 connection in Patey Hall. How about that?
There you go. There you go. That's the way I remember it. I remember it that way from the day.
That was good, but I'll tell you right now, the best song on that album, and maybe we're going to have an argument about this, is It Don't Matter to the Sun.
It don't
He could have done that
matter
one
to
as real Garth Brooks,
sun.
and it would have been just as much of a good song.
Here you go. He didn't write any of the Chris Gaines album. I'm looking at it right here. He didn't write any of that music.
A White Flag,
Nope.
Way of the Girl. I can't imagine he would ever write a song like that.
Trisha Yearwood wrote Main Street.
Oh, that explains why I don't like that song.
Yeah. I'm trying to find what was the song that I loved.
Oh, for the Chris Gaines album?
No. There you go. When You Come Back to Me Again.
Oh, the one from that movie Frequency.
Frequency.
Yeah, that was a
my
good one, man.
gosh. Yeah,
That was an awesome song.
And that movie, it is so underrated.
Yes, it is.
In fact, I might need to go watch that tonight.
That's a good idea.
Is it on a streaming service? Man, it was Dennis Quaid, Jim Caviezel. Man, that was a good movie. I wonder
It
if
had the dude who's now the police chief in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, too. I can't think of his name.
Did it really? Yeah,
Yeah,
he was a firefighter.
Yeah. Yep.
Huh.
Andre, what's his last name? Shoot. Andre Braugher, that's right. Yeah, that was a good movie, dude. I remember watching that one at the movie theater at the McFarlane Mall.
Yep.
Yep. That's a good one.
Anyway, all right. We've been doing this for 2.5 hours. I
so
told
tired.
you this
it's
was
midnight.
It's midnight Cinderella. Don't you worry none. All right, back to this. All
Please
right,
don't sing
guys,
Peter the Pumpkin Eater again.
I'm Peter. All right, guys, we love y'all. We'll see y'all next week when Carrie does his trip report.
Bye, guys.